Good morning and welcome to Morning Light Radio. I am excited to be here this morning with you. Thank you for tuning in. Keep your expectations at a minimum. We're just going with the tides as the water rolls in and rolls out, and gonna kind of feel our way through. I do have a special guest. Just Me Art Fan has woke up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and full of braininess this morning to hang out on Morning Light Radio, and that's exciting. And I think we may have another guest in the near future as well. So good morning, Just Me Art Fan. How are you doing? And I hope that my mic and everything is working. And I might just need to test that by pulling open my stream and seeing if we have noise. If it seems to be doing good on your side, awesome. Let me know. That would be great. Or if it's not, let me know as well. Oh, cool. All right. Thank you. I believe Just Me Art Fan went out for a smoke, which is cool. And how are you doing this morning, Avuncular?
Alrighty.
What's happening, my brother?
Dude, we just seen a daytime trash panda.
A daytime
Scared
what?
the shit out of the neighbor. Or one of the neighbors. A trash panda. Raccoon.
Okay. Big guy?
Usually they come out before the sun. Yeah, big guy like the size of our dog, but usually they come out before the sun comes out. They're creeping around usually earlier. Broad daylight, my neighbor's across and under the carport smoking. Can't see it, and it comes right across her. She's like, ah!
That will definitely do it. Well, I did drop a link in the chat there for you, Avuncular. If you are in the mood to join us, if you have the time, the capacity, the will, and the energy, do so. If not, I truly understand. Yeah. So, I just gathered a bunch of stuff for today's Morning Light Radio stream. I got a stack of books that I might open and just read a little bit from. I got the Bhagavad Gita. I have more from The Wheel of Time by Carlos Castaneda. I got The Only Dance There Is by Ram Dass and Autobiography of a Yogi. JMAF, since you are the special guest, pick a book, any book. I'll open to a random page and read a little something from it. And it looks like we have a very special guest in the building, ready to rock and roll. Nod your head if you're good and ready. Woohoo! Okay, without further ado, I would like to welcome... Uh-oh. I'm seeing some hand gestures. If you need to work on it, that's... Oh, thumbs up. Thumbs up. That hand gesture, I do understand completely. Well, Here we go. Welcome to the stage, Grandfather Dragonfly.
Oh,
How do you do?
pretty good. Getting used to waking up early. I I,
I try.
I, I, I told my doctor I actually am allergic to waking up early, and I get sick.
I hear you.
Well,
I
no,
hear you. Yeah, today was kind of a rough one for me, as far as the whole waking up thing goes. Well, I guess it wasn't the waking up part. It was the not sleeping so much part. And
You're
then
not
thinking,
sleeping.
oh, maybe I should just go to sleep instead.
Yeah,
What do
I
you?
went to bed 3 hours ago.
Ay ay ay.
Yeah, I was.
Cheers.
You guys you're always doing something though. You guys are both stuff going on. I mean, your podcast and all that
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
always.
Yeah, I was. I was hanging out, not too late, but I was hanging out with JMath for a while last night, and then I went to sleep or tried to go to sleep, and kind of just had a talkative mind, I guess. And then I was hanging out. The little one was sleeping on me, and every few minutes it seems like he was gonna wake up, so I had to, you know, pat him or do something to keep him subdued for for a while, so Mom could sleep. And yeah, after that, I just never got in deep, which is cool. I got a lot of deep sleep every most most of the nights before that. So yeah, I'm just chilling, running on whatever I'm running on. So I was gonna give. So I have some stuff to share, and we could just chat, see where it goes. Again, this morning light radio show, it's not very formal. Just kind of take it where it goes, and a lot of the times I'm just here babbling in my car. And since I'm not commuting for a short period of time, uh, doing doing this stream a little different. But I have 4 books in my hand, and I'll let you pick one, JMath, to start with, and I'll pick a random bit and just read a little excerpt from it. We have
Okay.
the Bhagavad Gita. We have The Wheel of Time. And we have The Only Dance There Is. And last, Autobiography of a Yogi.
Ooh. The third one, the dance there is.
All right. Excellent choice, if I do say so myself. Okay, so here we go. So there's lots of words in all these books and names that I don't quite know how to pronounce, but I'll just go with it. Meher Baba was an Indian holy man who was a very pure statement of bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion, the yoga of love. The heart is a vehicle for transcendence, the relation between lover and beloved that I was talking about before. He left his body about a year ago. He died. And to the extent that one reads his discourses and his books like A God Speaks or Listen, Humanity, with the openness of the 4th chakra, with love in one's heart, he is a very, very high teacher. There's no doubt about that. I've had very powerful spiritual contacts with Meher Baba, and I feel that he is one of my gurus, one of the beings that guide my unfolding. And he pointed out to me in correspondence, when he was in his body, that he thought that there was a problem in relation to LSD, that you become addicted to the experience of LSD rather than working for the true reality. I have come to understand what he meant by that. Over the years, as I've gone on in my own work, I feel that he's just a very loving being who is there for people that can open their hearts to him.
I like that.
Yeah.
I was just thinking in the relevance of that. It's like how many people, psychedelics, for instance, do people chase the high or chase the journey?
Yeah,
I've done
that's
both. I've
actually
done both.
chase the high and chase the
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah.
Well, I think for like the majority of people, and I could be completely wrong, but this is just an assumption, is there's a subconscious yearning for an altered state of mind.
I
And
would say more or less to escape the feelings and emotions of the now and the reality of the mundane.
that's funny because I was thinking about the word escapism, and then I decided to take a different route. And yeah, that came to my mind as well. And whatever it might be, there seems to be a yearning, and I'm gonna just go on a limb and say the vast majority of people to have relief from what we might call the normal state of mind, which kind of goes a little bit back to our last conversation with that constant inner dialogue.
So it'd be
And
like an escape from the world's inner quarrels.
yeah, and maybe escape from our own perception, our normal perception, our learned perception, even our programming, possibly.
Yeah.
And
I remember now this is like, oh, sorry.
no, go please.
No, you're good. You're good. Please
Save
No,
it
go.
for yourself.
I remembered in my early 20s, I was reading in Revelations, and I came across this word they use the word sorcery, but the Greek word is pharmakai, and pharmakai. And I'm trying to remember. Sorry if I don't really, quote it, but pharmakai was had in the root word takes the place of God. And I
That's
took
interesting.
these things. I took these things because I didn't feel good. I was kind of a depressed teenager. I was a depressed younger adult, and so I'm trying to find all this stuff. And it seemed like mushrooms and peyote and LSD made me feel good. Now that was kind of a ripoff because now if I had the divine in my life, I think those play. That's what's those things are just taking the God really wants to do with you or the divine, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure about. Yeah,
I would say
So
I would say it's kind of like using a roundabout, like a cheat code to source, but in a non-natural way to find higher source.
it kind of goes along with you guys are familiar probably. I'm not as familiar with these guys, but Greg Braden, he was talking. Yeah, he was talking about a genetic code in us that he was comparing languages and all this, and came up with a encoded thing in our genetics. It says God is here.
Oh yeah, yeah. When you
Yeah, wow.
Very
when
interesting.
when you break down our DNA sequencing and the genome sequencing, I mean the very breath of life, Yahweh is encoded in our DNA.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
if you think about it, uh, generational lineage data is encoded in our cellular DNA. One
yeah,
drop of
yeah,
blood can contain 7 terabytes of data able to be uploaded into a computer,
yeah.
downloaded,
Cool. Huh?
uploaded.
He also added that the telomeres, he says 250,000 years ago that there's a surgical connection of genes, something the input to that, and the telomeres actually connect all the genetic the genes, and these two,
Decoding.
yeah, these two were fused together 250,000 years ago, and right now even science doesn't know what to make of it. I mean, I don't know how true this stuff is.
Well, so the way that I understand it is, let's say pre 200 whatever thousand years ago, we used to not be suppressed into a two-stranded DNA helix. In our origin, it used to be a 48-stranded DNA helix, which we are suppressed down into 2 strands, waiting for the reactivation in whatever parallax of time to be activated back to a 48-stranded DNA helical being.
Hmm.
Cosmos, cosmic energy.
Well, I'm beginning to believe that the one purpose in life, actually, to know to well, I use a word that I hear Santi and Manakoa uses is oh geez, God dang it, I'm missing a word here. Is awakening to realize you are divine.
Yeah, yeah.
Am I
So
am I close to that?
even
Yeah.
yeah, even in biblical reference, it says to always seek Him. That is the divine, the Most High. Always seek Him, as in your entire life's journey, because to think that you have found Him 100% wholesome, that is the foolish man's journey. When the wise man's journey will realize he is only ever after attaining that is, but to never stop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of thinking. Yeah, I never really kind of thought about. Well, I believed in reincarnation, but I do know it'd probably take me anyway, personally, about 15 lifetimes to get it right.
Well, so the reincarnation cycle, under the guise of the soul trap, it's like very ancient old world systems, part of the
Hmm.
highly advanced, the advanced control, part of the suppression of our DNA down to 2 strands. That's a very complex thing.
You know, so kind of thinking about like the use of things like LSD or other psychotropic, um, I want to say natural things, but it could be, I guess, not natural as well.
Well,
Uh,
the science community would call it pseudoscience, etherical pseudoscience.
well, yeah, I mean, when it be well, I don't want to. I'm gonna avoid that
That's
rabbit
just
hole
a
that I want to
yeah.
that I'm so I could stay on the
That's a yeah. That's a big mislabel.
yeah, right. It's that could cover so much of what is called science. Um, now, just kind of thinking about why people take these journeys, and you guys, of course, and myself already discuss some reasons, and from what I quite understanding from the commentary here is searching, searching or trying to replace something like you said that pharmacology in its epidemiological definition. I don't even know if that's the right word for it, but it sounds good. Um, is
Sounds good to me.
replacing God. Now, this is a concept that if I've heard, I don't really remember, but it's quite interesting because um, it seems like through these experiences, many people have found what they believe is to be God or source energy or connection to creation or love and these various things, which is when I think about that and when I connect it with this small arbitrary portion of the book to randomly jump into and read, and you guys so skillfully were able to abstract meaning when I don't think I was able to, and so thank you. That's quite interesting because he says you're addicted to the experience, not to finding the truth, not to facing reality. That is an interesting thing when we connect the dots of what you guys said, what's said in the book. It's a really something that I can think on and talk about probably for a while.
Well, I was just thinking about this. Does an ascended master act like he knows it all? Or does he know that he knows nothing and he is still on his journey?
I could only make assumptions. I could only make assumptions. And you know what? That's interesting because I think the better part of me, and I'm not saying like the part that's more good, the, but the better part of me wants the ascended. I want the ascended master to be my ideals, whatever those may be. So there's my what do they call that? Confirmational bias, at work at all the time. That's my programming, whether I've seen it from uh, Star Wars or, read it from one of these amazing books that I have in my hand. That's probably where, like, to answer that question honestly, that's probably how I would answer it, would be based on what I want that master to be. And most likely, and again, once again, in my imagination, it seems most likely that they would have various tones and attributes. I would think about the drunken master in the Zen stuff.
Yep, and I guess in the relevance of the drunken master, flow like water.
Yeah,
Just,
if
just
that's how
flow
you
like,
flow, then that's how you flow.
yeah.
Uh, I don't know if I should try to say the cone of the drunken master, but it's always a fun one where these two Zen masters, or I don't know if they were even Zen masters, but these two, um, let's just call them masters. These masters meet for lunch, and one of them, pours himself a large cup of wine and says, "Hey, would you like some wine?" And he says, "No, that's against our practices. We can't drink wine." "All right." He says, "Well, you're not a man if you don't drink wine. I'm gonna drink my cup." And they, talk and they're having fun or whatever. And, the drunken master again says, "Hey, you sure you don't want a cup of wine?" He says, "No, that's against our practices." And the drunken master says, "Well, you're not a man if you don't drink." And the other master starts getting a little fed up, and he goes, "Well, if I'm not a man, then what am I?" And the drunken master says, "A Buddha." Again, it just illuminates the mind at work, right?
It's the illumination of the mind. It's like I don't read books, but then I still pull from source and find the same information that's written in those books right out of thin air.
Yep.
And I don't read
Hey,
books.
you guys are cutting in and out a lot. Is there something I can do? Or
Um, so
Simultaneous refresh one at a time.
wait. So go to your settings
okay, there I go. I see it now. Okay. Yep.
and go to audio.
Oh, I mean, echo cancellation.
I'm guessing. Yeah.
What do I do now though? I'm in.
what's-
I'm in.
What's
It
checked?
I can't see that check thing. What do I do?
Is it?
I have audio. I have virtual background. I have hotkeys.
Okay,
what do
so
I do?
click
So when
audio.
you click, yeah, when you click audio, it'll open up to echo cancellation, reduce mic background noise, or stereo audio. I've got echo and reduce mic noise on.
Did you get in?
What should I-
Did you get
I'm in
into
it.
audio yet? Okay, what's
am.
checked off?
Nothing.
Nothing's checked off.
Yeah,
No.
hit audio echo cancellation.
Okay, so maybe. Hello. Yeah, maybe just what microphone is it grabbing from?
The Lewis.
So it is grabbing from
remember.
the correct microphone. Sounds better now.
Okay, so maybe that was it. You maybe you won't. You guys were cutting out quite a bit, so I was missing what you were saying.
Okay, it seems like because I was getting an echo from you a second ago, and now I'm not.
Oh, you did, see, it went out again.
So that would be your side, I believe, is the network trying to buffer. So usually to get around that, we'll do a refresh and come back into the stream.
Okay, so how
So
do I
yeah,
do a
go
refresh?
just hit refresh on your screen, and we'll let you back in.
Yeah, so that'd just be
I
the
don't
red
know.
leave studio button, and then you'll just re-enter the studio.
Okay, leave. Where's leave? I don't see any leave.
Should be on the bottom right. You'll see like a little red X.
Okay.
You should.
Yep. It's StreamYard's been like that the last few days. It's like I was getting my audio and browser kicked like 5 minutes into my stream.
Yeah, that's.
So StreamYard.
I was kind of expecting anything today because that has been
Oh.
the case. So
This morning too, certain updates temporarily wouldn't allow backgrounds on StreamYard because it lost the browser data, and then like an hour later it was working again.
But the good thing is I have heard you clearly, and besides that echo, everything else sounded good. So let's hope that works. Let's give it a little test. Are you hearing clearly? Are we still cutting in and out?
Well, I don't know yet. So I've only been on a few seconds. I'll tell you.
Yeah. So
What about now?
it sounds good so far. Koa,
Oh, it just did.
you almost cut out a little bit, so it's the StreamYard side of it. That's gonna be what it is.
Yeah, it could be the internet
should I be
connection.
Yeah, I was gonna say, should I be closer to the
Try that.
thingamajigger? Well,
To your
I'll have to
Wi-Fi router, yeah.
Yeah. Is that better? That would be better, huh?
That might be. Yeah, it might be.
You'll get a better signal
No promises.
if you're closer
You know what
to
I'm
the
gonna-
source.
Right outside my bedroom door. I'm gonna just open the door. I close the door because my cat bothers me. Fran's cat bothers me. I'm not a pet person. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Hey, you're good. You're good. Totally good.
dang it, man! I'm like caught. 70 years old, man. I can't get out of this chair.
Go ahead. I'm gonna take you off screen so you can do it comfortably without an audience, and then I'll just I'll put you back on when you get comfy. I'm starting to feel alive.
Yeah, I'm getting a little life back into me now.
One sip at a time. Or many puffs in a row. We'll do it.
I think I attempted to wake up 3 times this morning. Each time I was like, yep, 10 more minutes. The coffee can get cold.
And I think once Grandfather Dragonfly gets set up again and gives me the thumbs up, I think I'm going to read a little bit more from The Only Dance There Is, because it seems like the next paragraph is kind of fascinating.
Cool.
All right. Well, let's hope that
Look at
does the
that.
trick. If not, I
Zero
don't know.
lag. Stream looks well.
Dang it, it did it again. Next time I'll put it closer to the router in the house. I'm in my bedroom sitting down, so.
Huh.
We'll work through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm wondering.
I get most of what I get the gist and most of what you're saying. So, but next time I will change.
Yeah, and just if there's something that you're missing, just let us know, and we'll try to communicate, because sometimes I don't understand things at all, even when I could hear clearly. I'm going to read a little bit more from another paragraph or so from The Only Dance There Is by Ramdas, because it looked kind of interesting, and you'll see why in a second. So this little section is called Edgar Cayce and Two States of Consciousness.
That's a good one.
Yeah, right? I thought you'd like that. Edgar Cayce, it seems to me...
I used to catch a ton of audiobooks.
Yeah.
I don't read, so audiobooks are wonderful.
Yep. Edgar Cayce, it seems to me, was a being who had available to him what William James calls the discontinuity of two states of consciousness. He could move from one state of consciousness into the other. However, he did not have recall of one from the other. He didn't have it all together, as we would say in the West. So he would go
normal, right?
Into a sleep state where he would be, where he would be in another state of consciousness, where he would see the universe differently than he was seeing it in another state, and see more than was available to him when he was in his waking consciousness. I think that's all valid, and that what he was reporting was what he was seeing at that astral plane, which is a relatively low astral plane as far as I can see, and was open to certain influences and so on. It's not perhaps a totally pure statement, but it's a very good statement. It's certainly more than we knew before. It is another way of defining reality, and James' point is well taken. Any premature closing of our accounts with reality which fails to take into account all of these other states of consciousness is an error on man's part, because man has to be pretty pompously presumptuous to assume that he's already found out the way. And so, you take a person like Edgar Cayce, and it is difficult because of the sort of shucky nature of the organization that got going around him, often to hear the wisdom of the message in there and to hear the real stuff in there. But there certainly is a lot of real stuff in there. There's no doubt about it.
So I was just thinking, like, think about our experience here in the physical now, and then if you were to take your consciousness and throw it up to a 360,000-foot aerial view outside of self, to look at self and at self interacting with everybody else at that 360,000 degree view, that's a whole different perspective of consciousness in itself. That's kind of how I try and operate my thought process, is I am here, but outside of self, I am here. And outside of that, we are here.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, just kind of based off what you just said, and, the way I can kind of relate to what you were saying was, just kind of given the momentum of the inner dialogue, there's a whole different consciousness to experience when we just and kind of just let that whole process captivate us for a moment. Just that shift is moment is huge.
There's
Is huge.
infinite possibility. There's momentously infinite possibility in just that shift right there. There's so many avenues of infinite that shift can step into. Any given, you can step left 5, or you can step left 5,000,005.
Yeah, seems to be a complicated situation. I was thinking about. I was reminded from what you guys were when to my granddaughter's social worker, and I was asking her. I was telling her, how do people communicate? Because everybody thinks something different about what you're saying.
Angle of perception, yeah.
You could tell a lie, you could tell the truth, but to them, whatever they want to believe, they'll believe. So that led me to believe. In fact, I said, there must be information on. She goes, oh, there's tons of books on misunderstanding, miscommunicating, and then that led me to think, wow, the Tower of Babel still here.
Wait, you gotta say that.
Oh,
again.
yeah.
You gotta say that again because you got cut off right there.
The Tower of Babel is still here.
Because, yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
It's so many ways to deceit and manipulate. So the first thing when you said that, the first things that come to my mind, CIA think tanks, and how to do coups in every country across the world to push an agenda that facilitates the infiltration of systems that now we live upon the suppression of.
Yes. Yeah. I've read just a little bit of the psychology behind what governments do, and that's what you clearly spoke about. And they do this stuff.
Well-funded, in a well-funded think tank. Now think people are making 6 figures a year to freaking heinously think tank this shit against the American people, and that's our lovely government.
Yeah, I remember. This is kind of off topic, but when this pandemic came about, and they said, oh, all the old people are they need to be vaccinated because they're the most they can be have more medical issues and stuff like that.
Vulnerable. They're vulnerable.
Yes, thank you. But what I was thinking was, you lying rats. We're all on Social Security. We're taking billions of dollars from you guys. You want us alive? You want me to believe you are trying to help us? I think they're trying to kill us. I hope that.
Well,
they're
in a depopulation scenario. Wouldn't they go after the children and the elderly first, because the middle-aged would be the hardest physiologically to kill with strong immune systems and health?
And to be their slaves, according to Aristotle, there's no difference between a slave and a wage earner, right? Wage earner, I mean.
the very accurate similarities, like let's say the COVID swab, the introducing the swab up into the brain cavity to rupture the mucous membrane, is the same shit that went on with Egyptian slaves to rupture the mucous membrane to keep them in a sicker state, more suppressed, lower vibration, more susceptible to being sick, and lower vibration.
Really, man. Oh, so what's how do we combat that? Since that's already happened to me, they stuck that thing up there to see if I had COVID. I'm thinking I don't need to get any dumber.
My thing was I was more concerned about potential DARPA hydrogel being introduced into the leaching microplastics in the tips of the swabs, and DARPA hydrogel being a completely different thing in itself. That's kind of nasty, funded by the government. So
I'm sorry, I don't know what you just said.
that's
Poison.
okay.
I listened to 2.5
Poison.
years ago. Yeah, I got to confess here. About 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I started listening to Dr. Jordan Peterson and Russell Brand and these kind of guys, and I had to have a notebook and I had to pause and write down all the words that they just said and look them up and then go, oh, now I get it. I still have these words written in my book,
Well,
so
that's understandable.
so yeah,
I got 4
I learned a
notebooks
lot.
right here.
Yeah, I learned a
But,
lot of words. I can
A lot
listen
of
to those.
times,
Sorry.
a lot of times when I speak, people are kind of stuck in a what did he just say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a friend. I got another friend like that, and like I had a we did a pretty cool podcast with Santi and Selena and Ski. And Ski he has these theories, and I was like, in the time of the podcast, I was like so freaking lost. He was explaining his theory, and it was like just way above my head. And it wasn't until I went back and listened to it, because it was different when I was part of the conversation. It was a different experience when I was, uh, a witness to the conversation. And then I was like, dude, I'm sorry, bro. I understand what you're saying now, and I totally missed the point. I just couldn't keep up with your brain, dude. I'm a slow man. I'm a slow moving
Well,
guy.
You come by it
it's
honestly.
harder in the real.
Yeah. All natural.
It's harder in the real life. You can't just hit rewind in the real life and be like, okay.
And
this
you
is
know,
what he said.
it
It's
wasn't
okay.
even,
And,
and it wasn't even needing to rewind. It was needing to remove myself. It was like I was
Yeah.
kind of like blocking myself from understanding. But yeah, and again, I guess being reintroduced, because reading books like the hero, the mask, whatever, the mask of Joseph Campbell type of stuff. There was no way, that the average person. I don't think, and I know I'm not by far, the brightest, but I don't think that most people can just read that and comprehend it. It's one of those
I
things where
yeah.
it has to be digestible, and
Yeah. But Joseph Campbell, yeah, I read those books, a couple of them, Hero's Journey, of course, and all that. And it was hard reading for me. And again, he's parenthetical. There's concepts within the concept within the concept to explain what he's trying to say. And then it's too complicated. He's writing at a
Like metaphorically.
yeah, no, well, as a uh, uh,
expert.
this is why I don't want to do these shows, because I forget words. He's a professor. He's a professor. He talks to universities, man.
Yeah.
They have a huge vocabulary understanding things. But when he has a DVD thing, I got all the DVDs too. I still have them somewhere. He speaks beautifully. You understand everything he says, but that's on a different level. And I think he's relating to people like me who don't. that doesn't know those kind of that kind of educational
Well,
stuff.
I'll tell you what, and you may not believe me, but I'll tell you what I think from a little bit of experience. The way he speaks on those DVDs is the way he speaks to people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the master class or whether it's the novice class. The way he
Mm.
writes is a whole different beast
University level.
because you don't go to university to just learn,
Do you guys
every word in the dictionary. That's just impossible.
right?
It,
Do you guys ever listen
it's
to Alan Watts at all?
oh yeah,
Yes.
heck yeah.
Yeah. Alan Watts chill step for like 10 years, man. And I mean, the world's philosophies.
Yeah, I like to going back to
Yeah.
Alan Watts. I love he's really good about bringing you into these subtle concepts, and yeah, I think it's cool. I had his book. I don't have it anymore. I don't think, unless it's stashed away
So
somewhere. Is Become What You Are.
YouTube YouTube is one of the things where I have, for the last 10 years, watched Alan Watts chill step videos where it puts it to a beautiful melodic chill step vibe music while we do the world theologies. It's just really great. It meshes it together in a almost meditative, relaxing, informative way. It's beautiful.
So
What's that called again? What'd you call it?
Alan Watts chill step on
Chill
YouTube.
step. Okay.
And
it's like a type of
there
music.
there is so many videos in chill step specific to Alan Watts on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen some. That's where I've seen a lot of stuff. Chill steps. So I'm going to write that down so I don't forget.
So I just kind of want to bring it back, just because I think we could maybe abstract a little bit more odd information from that small section of reading. Is, from what I understand, Edgar Casey, according to the history, right, was able to go into some sort of trance.
You keep saying all the good names I like.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I knew that one would resonate with you, and
Yeah.
and so in this trance, from, again, I might be wrong, but from what I understand, he spoke in a more in an older type of style of speaking. I compare it to almost like biblical type
Biblical
of
tongue.
tongue.
Not language, but just in the preserved mannerisms of which that timeline spoke. How they, them, thouist, like the old world essence of it.
Or are you talking about like the 1600s where they, how they wrote in the King James thee and thou stuff? I've never read Casey. Heard a little bit
Yeah,
about him.
yeah,
Thee
yeah.
and thou.
From
Yeah,
what I
that's
understand, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I'm not
okay.
100% sure,
Yeah.
but that's what I believe. It was something like that.
Similar.
Yeah, and it's interesting too to have, like, he according to what the Ramdas is saying, and he's probably right from what I remember, is when he was in this trance, he was a different him, I guess, but his recollection was separate from what we would, consider the regular him. So these two, we might call them archetypes if we want. These two different beings, the recollections weren't merged. And I think that part,
Archetypes.
again, I don't know if it's actually the best usage for that, but
I still really like that word archetype. Think of yourself as an arc, and you're that archetype, very specific to yourself. You're your own arc.
Woo, woo. There we go. There's the
You're
arc.
your you're you're
Yeah.
your own arc in the great flood of life.
In the mud flood of life.
Yeah, man.
Now,
That's cool. I
now,
dig that.
the reason I wanted to kind of reiterate that was how can that come to be that your field of perception can be so vastly different that they don't merge?
Your level of openness to receive. People are closed off. We put up walls we do not seek, of which we seek, because we are not quiet enough to listen to the answers of which we ask. I'm like, angle of perception, you get it in your mind. People will literally give you the answers of which you seek, but if my mind is not open enough to receive them, then I only receive them at an angle of perception which suits my ego but not the spirit.
Yeah, see, this
So
is
then in a sense, in that outside of self, inside of self, I rip myself off at the same sense if I don't pay attention and wake up.
what about you, Grandfather Dragonfly? Any idea whatsoever how that can occur?
Okay, repeat that sentence again because you cut out a little bit. It's doing better here, but you cut out during that part.
Well, yeah. So my curiosity is how can our, I'll say, field of perception change so drastically that our
What you're trying to say is
that they'll
how
won't merge.
what yeah what necessarily would break down the barriers that we put up for ourselves to allow more angles of perception other than one that is so singular to flow into our space, to be more open to receive information like flowing water.
Well, now let's get back to just reiterate what was going on with Edgar Casey, right? So he would go into a trance and he would have access to information that he didn't have access to outside of that trance.
Akashic record.
And he didn't have, while in the trance, he did not pull information from his daily life, as we would call it. Right. And during his daily life, he wasn't pulling information from the trance space that he was in. So how can it be that these things can both exist and seemingly not merging consciously with each other? That's kind of where the question was trying to go, but it's a strange one.
Well, it's like there's a veil between the consciousness of the etherical knowledge and the real world knowledge, and our mind puts it on like a big ass filter.
I would think so. It's filtered out. Why would it have to merge? What I mean by that is when you go hunting, some people like to hunt. You turn into the hunter. When you got to sit down and be a writer, writing a novel, you sit down. You got a different perspective, a different way of thinking. In fact, I heard a writer said that his most successful books were one where he took on the characters he was writing about. If he was going to write about Hermes Trismegistus, he tried to become that person. So it's not like we have to just we have to have a thing where we navigate this and become different things at different times to navigate. That's what I'm thinking. Am I off topic here?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay, okay.
And yeah, so just Apple Eater with Rome, thank you for dropping in. And she says, "Hey guys, what are we spurging about today?"
Oh,
My
I gotta
best,
look that damn word up. Damn it.
as I say, my
Miss
best, my
Apple Eater. Rome
my,
with Rome.
I was going to give my best answer. I don't know. You know, whatever comes and goes. That's really it. We
Spurgeon.
were reading through a little bit of The Only Dance There Is, just random readings. And I do have some video clips that I will share at one point. I don't want to ruin the surprise of where they are because I'm noticing a lot of synchronicity already throughout this stream. And yeah, and
Nice.
if there's something that you want to chime in, or if you have the will and the time and the ability and would like to join the discussion, that is very much possible too. So
So do you know what spurge means? That the Miss was telling us to have a tantrum or rage, to ramble in excessive detail, to be passionate about a subject that is aggravating to others.
I was gonna, yeah, I was gonna
Well,
just.
thanks.
I love it. You know that it all fits so well, and you know,
That sounds like a new nickname for myself.
the spur.
Yeah.
Passionate about what you do. Yeah,
Ooh,
with vigor and energy.
I might create a show for you called The Spurge.
I'm
Oh,
spurging.
Oh, Trismegistus is where I walked in. Okay, so I don't even know what we were saying about Trismegistus, but I could imagine.
Taking on his character and maybe channeling him as far as everybody. Melchizedek was a reincarnation of somebody else, and somebody else became Trismegistus, and now maybe we have a Trismegistus that's alive in the world today. Who knows?
I think we'd have to. I mean, if it is an archetype, then there's most likely many Trismegistus.
Maybe.
Well, so maybe to better answer your question, now that we know what spurging means, thank you very much. I love words, and I love learning words.
Too,
it's such a joy.
That's my hobby. It's a hobby of mine.
And you know what? Like I kind of like thought like I had a decent. I thought I knew like a decent amount of words, but like they're just popping up all over the place. Where like, oh, what the hell does that mean? Oh, what the hell does that mean?
Oh man!
So I read a little bit from "The Only Dance There Is" by Ram Dass, and he was talking about. Yes, he was talking about Edgar Casey. A little bit. And we didn't go too far into, we just read like one paragraph from it and just started to spurge. And we were kind of discussing this altered state that he found himself in. And I was kind of questioning, how is it that, we could find ourselves in altered states or someone else in this case. And, they don't seemingly like interweave, like the memory pathway is so unique from this altered trance state to, again, just using the generic term is waking life. And then that's when you walked into getting some feedback from Grandfather Dragonfly, where I believe you made the point that they don't necessarily need to merge. We can take on different archetypes as needed.
I love that you use the word archetypes. So I think when you say archetypes to me, first thing that pops into my head, man, I'm like archetypes. legions and legions upon generational generations of our family extension, of our bloodline, our heritage, our DNA encoded in every single drop of DNA that we have. Hopefully, we're lucky enough to wake up and not remain in cognitive dissonance at a distance cognitively, from our source self. Hopefully, we wake up and realize all that, right?
Yeah.
Our archetype, man, we are an archetype of cosmic proportions from legions of generational family. Oh yeah. Well, there was something else that resonated in there with me real good too, but I lost it. It was really good though, because I'm excited about this topic.
Right. It's totally cool. I'm kind
Yeah,
of
doppelgangers showing
oh.
up through archetypes.
Yeah, it's even interesting too, right? When the way that we relate to something that resonates with us, and it's sometimes like I was listening to someone speak, and it was funny because it came into my head like, oh, this is a confirmation of my own growing of some of the you know insights that I picked up along my path. And I go, oh,
Do you
this
ever get
is a
signs confirming
yeah,
that?
and then the guy goes, well, he says something about being a cancer, and I go, okay, if there's my synchronicity, you know, there
I
there's
love these
there's
words.
there's there's my bone, there's my bone. Yeah, that's the way I see it, or we could
You know,
just call
you
it an
know,
omen if you'd like.
the bone with all the gravy on it and the synchronicities would be to find out if you're in the right place at the right time. I mean, simply just have a look around you. You will find the divine angelic numbers of gematria floating around you in the ether as you unattentively notice, but they are there, letting you know that you are on the right path at the right time.
I'm a little curious, and I apologize for you know zigzagging all over the place, but does anybody understand what apple eater with Rome might refer to? Is that like a biblical type of thing? Oh, I tried to stay away from random bone gravy. Yeah, they got the
As far as
they got the good stuff at Costco, from what
are
I
we
understand.
are we talking about the true alchemist? So so to me, a true alchemist in my mind. Okay, so I'm not saying I'm an expert, nor if I had a lot of information on that, but a true alchemist, when you realize that everything in the universe is in a state of vibration, all connected, no less than the rock outside sitting on the ground. We all exist in a state of frequency, energy, and vibration. And when you are a true alchemist, you realize that all of these things intertwined, you can basically break the constructs of what the scientific plane is and create from the Akashic etheric cosmos, universal. It's alchemy's a cool thing. It's I guess you would call it pseudoscience, but what is pseudoscience a label for? Just the misunderstood.
Well, I think of alchemy similar to the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur. They're searching for what?
The Holy Grail.
The Holy
Yeah.
Grail, right?
Or
Thank you.
or the
I
fact
had a brain fart, but I had a
uh,
clever way of curing it. So thank you.
uh, making DMT is an alchemical process, and when everybody dies, we produce mass quantities of DMT in our brains. So that's that blue light. Yeah, that's that spirit molecule. So and making DMT like a shamanic practice that's as old as we are as
Yeah,
humans.
yeah.
So F the government for saying what they say. I mean, whatever, dude. It's shamanic, 1,000-year-old practice to connection to higher self through a kind of like a divine bus pass. You
Yeah,
know,
I
it
would say
Yeah.
chooses.
it surpasses time, and
Yeah.
Alchemy
Oh, dude.
is is true. It's true, and it's obvious in the universe.
Yeah.
You have one molecule, and you put it together different ways, and look what happens. You get ants,
Or
you get flies, you
or
get human beings, and and
so.
and also in art. I was going to just say, in art, you see alchemy. People use different
Oh yeah.
colors, uh,
Oh yeah.
uh, and they make these different um, uh, paintings, but and it's all, and color is vibrations too. So they're putting they're mixing all this stuff up. It's really obvious. I don't know why science doesn't. I don't know what they think about it actually, but it's kind of obvious.
Well, because they
yeah,
serve an agenda that's
Yeah,
unilaterally universal, where science is more the construct of a three-dimensional rudimentary mind, very
I'm start.
singular.
Yeah, just starting to believe. I'm just putting it simply that the religions and the sciences, they don't want us to know that we are as powerful as God, or can become as powerful as God. I think that's what they don't want us to know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're absolutely divine cosmic beings, very powerful in creation. In fact, if you tell yourself you're not, you're not.
okay.
Well,
So that explains it for me. Yeah, yeah. Um, I appreciate that explanation. That's funny.
Yeah, it's a
I,
scuffed YouTube. We got bots here.
y-
You have to have moderators to help you get rid of bots that cause problems just like anywhere else. So it's got its own issues just like every other platform, only this has less buzzwords to get us heated.
I just to age myself, I think in high school or just out of high school when the original lead singer, basically, was it Jeremy? I can't remember. Drawing a blank. Uh, Died, overdose. They said. Um,
Which band?
yeah, I'm on Rumble because YouTube. I'm also streaming this on YouTube, but you know, YouTube doesn't allow me to say things that I would like to say. At least they didn't. I don't know. They they seem to be changing that type of stuff at the moment.
Like
They're
like
still
fat
censoring a
jugulars
lot, but
bouncing.
yeah. So
Fat jugulars bouncing.
the cool thing about Rumble, from what I can tell, it's more interactive. So you have more people streaming actual live and connecting with people who are in chat or even inviting people to come in. So a little bit more different as far as I'm concerned with the way I watched YouTube. I've never really watched live YouTube. It was always just whatever shows up in
Yeah.
my feed type of thing. With the Rumble,
This
I go to
feels
see
more
who's live and
more
connect,
interactive.
say hi, and sometimes I go and I'll say hi, and if I don't feel like there's any connection, then I'll just move on to something else. So it's cool, but I guess it is what we make it, like anything else in life. What
Yeah, I
are
like how it's interactive.
how we actually facilitate what we were just talking about, which is alchemy. So I get this idea that we are alchemy. We are the embodiment of alchemy. We are living an alchemaic journey. If that, again, I don't know if that's a word, but it should be if it's not. We are uh, we are the magical process ourselves. We came here through an magical process. We've developed into these beings through an alchemical process that where from what I understand again, you just sometimes you believe, sometimes you don't, right? And there's cells and these cells are like all the same until they get touched by a vibration or light or whatever same thing, right? And then it becomes something more specific. Very interesting. Kind of like first there was the word, right? We started this with the alchemical process of audible vibration, according to many religions, right? Belief systems. And it tends to resonate with me, I'd say. But just kind of feeling along, this experience, I feel like we are the alchemy. And we're searching for it, but we don't really have to go anywhere to find it. I'm not saying that it's easy or anything, but it's very interesting.
That's why there's a lot of religions, because of what you just said. We're trying to find something, and a lot of these prophets and teachers tell us that, like the Zen guys, they always say, "Why are you looking for it? It's already there." Yeah, where is it then? I don't know what they're talking about. Dang it.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to, the earlier conversation in regards to the remarks about LSD, right? Where the guru is saying, people are addicted to the experience and not to engaging with reality. And I think he means like the true reality, right? Beyond the Maya or the Mara.
It's too heavy.
You know what? I just did that for fun. I was like, yeah, let's just stop in mid sentence in a random space and see how long we could just get swallowed by the silence. Oh, this is a funny comment. I think I am just living a boring version of Dune. That was a great movie. I've watched the first one, like the newer one, but I haven't watched the second. I've been trying to get Peeps to play it, and I just don't understand his website that much, and I couldn't find it under his categories. They said he had it, but I couldn't find it. But oh well. So, Grandfather Dragonfly. You want to pick a book? Any book?
I love Carlos Castaneda's
You know what? I had
A Thing in Time. What is it called?
The Wheel of
I'm
Time.
gonna catch smoke. I'm gonna catch smoke real quick, guys.
Smoke on. We'll be here when you're back.
Speaking of, before you read that, getting back to that the psychedelics and stuff like that. The second one is good, but
Yeah, always. The books are always better, for sure. Like by far.
I remember something Carlos Castaneda said in his first book, The Teachings of Don Juan. It was it? I read that like when I was in my 20s, so that's 50 years ago. And talking about the psychedelics, to what it said, the Greek word or Aramaic word for the pharmakai and the takes the place of God or the divine, which I see partly true. But Carlos Castaneda's Don Juan said, "Hey, man, we really didn't have to use those psychedelics." He goes, "Well, why did you use them on me?" He goes, "I had to shake you up." Remember that?
Yeah. Yep.
Something
I
like that.
do.
So that there is a place for it. There's sort of a place for. There's so many things beyond what we think is a place for. Kind of sort of off topic, but in the same vein, in the Hobbit, when Frodo says, "Man, I'm going to beat the crap out of Gollum," and the wizard Gandalf said, "Don't do that. You don't know what place he takes in this whole picture," and which is true because it's the golems of the world, it's the assholes, which we could be assholes at times. All these things is what actually made us grow. If you think about it, Gollum is a part of the story. Now, most people don't think of him as being a part of the divine plan, but he just he fits in there in the story. So, leading back to psychedelics, yeah, there's a place for that.
Yeah, and so just being such a lover of Carlos Castaneda, I just want to expand on what you said. Is I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe one time we'll kind of look back at it, but I feel like Don Juan was saying, the psychedelics, that's not the only way to achieve, these things. But Carlos Castaneda was so fixated in his position that something powerful like psychedelics was actually necessary to get him to be able to move, put it in, Don Juanian is move his point of perception or to move his assemblage point, right? Because,
Yeah.
He was so tightly wound around these concepts in his belief system and his programming that they needed something to open that up. And I think that some of these intelligences do a really good job of that. And of course, I could go down a rabbit hole of that. So just catching up with the messages here. So, but you say then it's a bit boring. So I don't know. That sounds like 90% of the Bible I found excessively boring and tedious to read through because maybe I didn't understand the lineage and the
Do you know why?
symbology between it, most likely.
I can tell you why.
Yeah, I would love
It's
to
'cause
know why.
they pulled all the fun, gushy stuff out when they removed the Apocrypha.
And the Book of Enoch and the Book of Thomas,
Yeah.
the Book of Marion.
Yeah, because you're not you're not as easy to control when you're completely aware of your divinity, of your own nature. I've never heard of the Doors of Perception. Actually, that sounds a little familiar.
Yeah. That's Huxley, right? Right. I miss that.
That's probably why it sounds familiar. I haven't read anything besides the.
First thing that comes to mind when I hear that book, movie Interstellar in the end with all that hyperfractal
So it is
dimensional
Huxley,
doorways.
Aldous Huxley.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, getting back
we're
to
talking about the Doors of Perception as we, so it's perfect.
Depends on how you talk about the Bible being boring. In my early age,
Only 90% though.
No, but I was going to be a Assemblies of God minister in my 20s, And I really, the way I read the Bible was just like an average Christian person studying the Bible. But now it's become like Exodus has become a metaphor and a kind of allegory metaphor, which had a more profound on my life on how to deal with life. So, you take the golden calf. The golden calf is just stuff we make up to get by. Some people take drugs, some people do alcohol. No, we make up a golden calf in every different ways. Maybe it's
So
yeah, and so that's allegorical. Now, if you read I guess it's Chronicles. I can't remember some of this stuff, but it says
Narnia?
it's no in the Bible, the First Chronicles, Second Chronicles.
Oh,
It says it starts saying people get, even Bible students, man, they won't read that. But I found it interesting, and here's why I found it interesting: because it says blah 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 begot, blah 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 begot, blah 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 begot, right? And you go,
Jacob
well,
begat, Isaac begat. Yeah.
hey man, look at what the names actually mean. And you get back to the I Ching. You put these two things together, this happens. The gods making love to each other.
Well, even beyond alchemy. So the periodic table of elements, each periodic element on the table is assigned a frequency. And when you use universal mathematics and frequency principles with the elements on the periodic table, well, you actually invent more elements beyond the very singular mathematics that is taught.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I read through, and I should do so again. The part that I could relate with was the New Testament part, because it was simpler storytelling. But
You
yeah,
guys know,
it would be neat to, if when you got somebody to walk you through too, like understanding, because when I listen to people who are good with symbology and actually comparing the earlier translations or the earlier original words and how they translate or don't translate properly, to me that's super fascinating.
Yeah.
It's just
there's a
I
lot
wouldn't
that
know.
they leave out. They leave out.
Oh yeah.
It's not interpretation. It's a flaw in translation, because they
Oh
don't
yeah. Well,
they have their agenda too that they didn't want us to know. In fact,
Council of Nicaea
what's really
invented the story of Christ to be written to the world as they depicted it after they removed the Apocrypha.
Yeah, but even then, like I said, studying the Bible as a student and and looking at the Bible now, I see whether it's a lie or truth, or written purposely not translating correctly. There is really gems in the Bible, and the one I can think of, this really helps me. So these stone throwers, they bring this woman, her name, I think it was Miriam, or maybe they didn't give the name. They tell Jesus, hey man, according to the law, according to the Torah, God wrote this law. It says that we should stone this woman. And what does Jesus say? I mean, he's supposed to be the Son of God. Isn't he supposed to listen to God? Oh, God the Father, obey. He came to fulfill the law and the prophets. He tells those people, even though they're right, they're actually scripturally right. The stone throwers are right. They need to stone that woman according to the law. But what does Jesus say? He was without stone. Wow.
Yep, he without sin cast the first stone. So that's perfect. You know why? Because that's not up to me to pass judgment on any other living being while I'm on my own journey path.
Exactly. That's the flaw. In fact,
100%.
Somebody had said a long time ago, maybe it's modern too, but that sin is actually what makes us sick. Now, the religious word sin, let's throw that away. When we harm somebody else, in all these different ways, we make ourselves sick. Jesus had the
That's
right
also
thing, man.
that
Yeah.
that's a projection of ourselves from unhealed traumas onto other people.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And a work of fiction.
So apple eaters, so Christianity in itself, the way that it is depicted, the Council of Nicaea in 375 AD, we're talking way back in Rome. They're the ones that in a council where I think it was 4 world religions, including Arab nations, depicted the story of Christ, how it would be told based on all of the world knowledge, picking, scraping, and how they saw it and seen fit. And if you didn't believe what their final version was, then you were a heretic and cast out, excommunicated. So what I find so fascinating is they can try and scrape the words of uh, higher source, creator, all they want, but it will never take its divine purpose of you can show up at any point in any time, any place, anywhere, and find a word being spoken that is perfect for the situation that you go through, always. The other thing I find fascinating is divination used to be in the Bible. You're not allowed to teach that in any modern day churches. Crystals were in the Bible, the armor of God, divination, all those kind of practices. And Ephesians actually talks about freaking aliens because it states clearly if the knowledge of God is not of this earth, that means he is not of this earth. Well, then, by definition, wouldn't that be alien?
Maybe, yeah. Well,
So we're
yeah,
seeking
Definitely
higher.
extraterrestrial.
the
Well,
other thing,
even beyond that is God's source would be infinite creation of universal source cosmic knowledge. So even if there were intergalactic species, they would still seek higher source, the same as do we.
another
Not all of them, but
yeah, the Bible is so mistranslated by the era and the culture. In fact, they use the word the 3 wise men saw the star. The real Aramaic word is astrologer, and
yeah,
modern Christian churches talk about astrology being evil and all this stuff, and
they
yet
twist it
it
on
was
purpose.
the astrology was the one that found and also this is just what it says in the gospel, so it's not like whether it's true or false doesn't matter. There's an example here is that God because people are after the 3 astrologers and God protected them. So God's not against astrologers or sorcerers or any of this
Oh, no,
stuff.
not at all. And here's why. I mean, it talks about the star in the Bible. God talks about the stars, the firmament set, how they are, how they
Yeah,
came
yeah,
into
yeah.
existence, what they are. That's all explained, and people can think it's twisted because they have only caught it at their own angle of perception.
They've been taught that we are the
Yes,
alien
we
100%. Hey,
yeah,
I wondered
yeah,
about that,
absolutely.
really,
Well,
especially
So,
that
so
fusion of the genes, right? I think that was alien.
so like the
so
way that I read part of this story, this is just a roundabout way that I had read it in a reading or an article once. It's basically in creation where we were created, our creator was aside others, but he cast himself aside to create us in the guise that wasn't probably necessarily supposed to be done, but did it anyway so that we could have a chance at life. Now put us here on this plane, and this is probably, I believe, part of the story of why we're 48 DNA helical strands suppressed down to 2, is because of in our creation and inception of great creator here. That was kind of like our punishment, creator's punishment for stepping away to create us in this absolutely divine, beautiful roller coaster of a journey that's so fucking grand schemed. It's crazy, right? But it's a very interesting creation story of time. And the Bible really does, like a lot of it, the word, you can't take God out of it, but it has really been twisted a lot.
you know what? I think like this is just kind of what comes to mind with kind of what we're talking about and what Apple Eater is saying. And I think we have to. An apple eater, I'm thinking this has to do with knowledge eater, consumer. Consumer of knowledge is my translation for myself. Let me know if I'm close there. But when we
Bite out of
and,
the
and we and
apple.
we bet last time we were together, we read some very related stuff to how we approach knowledge, and to give it a modern spin is we should approach knowledge from anywhere like we would from Wikipedia or from Google, right? We have to approach these things maybe like you would approach the Bible with discernment, understanding that there are manipulators and haters doing what manipulators and haters do, and as the spiritual beings that we are, we eat from the plate of knowledge that is healthy to our spiritual body and our physical body. So that's kind of the best I can do, really.
Well, yeah, dude. What we intake to the great filter is not just what we eat, but it's the energy, the flowing incantation of the energies that we intake into our lives, thoughts, feelings, energies, and then we absorb that and put that into the world as part of us. So, I always thought of it like this: imagine you're full of dye. What does your flow out look like? Is it a flowing nasty color, or are you flowing out a beautiful masterpiece with the intake and flow of information of which you have received? How are you painting your outflow picture?
Yeah, that's a great analogy as well. You can't put paste back in the tube when it is out.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah. Now, how long did you try before you realized that was a fact?
That
Hey, that's
requires
that.
a that requires a different tool in which the tube was not set in forth with.
That explains Einstein's theory. If you keep doing the same thing with failure and you keep doing it, it's insanity, right? What she
Well, yeah,
just
yeah.
said.
You
Yep.
beat
Yeah,
you
yeah.
beat
You
your
can't
head
put.
against the wall, expecting the same result
Yeah,
with
there
the
you go.
same level of input. Yeah,
And you know what? I had it.
there's got to be some kind of
Why do you
catalyst to
think,
bump it into
Miss,
change.
knowing too much is bad too?
She's. This is good.
That's funny,
This is
but
good
yeah.
right there.
Well, here's I
Trying to
agree
put a
with this
tangent.
to a certain. I agree with this to a certain level because I mean, there, in fact, we have the very reasons why the occult exists because they have knowledge that is suppressed and hidden, and they use it to manipulate and keep people in a very dimmed down state of we don't know what the fuck. That is, knowing too much has the ability, if you are a shit ass hat motherfucking lame ass fucking excuse
Oh
for
yeah,
human
yeah.
being, to manipulate humans. That's taking it for something that it was not intended for.
Yes, yeah. You know what's a good example of that? That to me anyway. So I
The
practice
government.
Zen. No, I practiced Zen for a long time, and to me it was a good thing. It's a good thing practicing Zen. It's good for your mind. You get
Hmm.
you get psychologically you become sound when you practice some Zen
Hmm.
stuff. But I realized I saw a movie, and I don't know which one. The lady practiced Zen, but she was a cat burglar. She can get through all them laser things going all around by because she was in the moment, in the Zen, man. She used her Zen to be a
Yeah.
cat burglar. I realized, yeah, you can do that. That's true. It's not a good or evil
Oh yeah.
thing. It's how,
People
how to
have
use
the
it.
ability to take any information, good or bad, and people. It's like you can either be a good person or you can be a bad person that takes good things and turns them into something that sucks because you're a shitty person, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's what people is, dude. It's like either be a good person or just stop being a shitty person.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
could.
goal, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
I've hurt people in the past. I
Yeah.
stick my
Oh,
foot in my mouth. I said negative
last
things,
comment.
and
Perfect.
then when it comes to me, it's like, oh yeah, that person hurt me. well, why do I want to do that to somebody else? And that was kind of like, it's kind of the beginning of, getting, realizing that you can
Yeah.
put something out in the world instead of hurting people. You know how it feels, man. So you don't want to do it. I think that's like
Well, so many times people are so quick to get a stick jabbed in their eye, and instead of removing the stick from eye, they will just jab it in another, right? But it's like people will project trauma onto other people, even unconscious and unaware that they have unhealed traumas of which they are projecting, and until
yeah,
they choose to take an inward look at themselves and fix those things. I love Apple Eater's last comment. You start to
Yeah,
learn
let me put
a
that up
lot
for
of
you.
information and a lot of knowledge, then you start to realize how everything that we have been taught, just the taught from the system, is so fake and gay to take us so far away from source that it is just fucking disturbing and disgusting at every single level how bad they take us away from source.
What I think is being said here is that as you open up your field of perception, you realize that there is a matrix, there's a layer of matrix information that overrides truth and reality, and therefore you realize what you've learned is fake and perverse.
That's the agents in the system, bro. That's why they
Is
have
that
agents
exactly what
in the
you were trying to
matrix.
say?
That's literally why they put agents in the matrix on top of the construct of like the evil AI constructs of the world. Then they had to throw agents in there too as the obtuse obstruction to keep us from aligning with our path.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to. I think what I'm finding out, and it, I don't know how helpful it is or not, but I'm kind of in this strange place where the stuff that I thought was like knowledge, um, is nothing is really not much more than, or even like what I thought was fact. Let's go a little bit further.
Is it
Is
designed to put a lid on the jar?
is nothing more than hearsay.
Well, so that yeah,
you
Like
know,
I
yeah.
think
So
I thought
somebody
this was
else's
fact for so
formulated
long,
opinion at their own
and
angle of
I'm just
perception.
realizing that I don't have any means to test whether that's actually a fact or not. I
hey,
heard
hey,
Well, not
I
not
was
only
gonna
that,
let me
yeah,
interject.
that
I'd like to interject a little thing Bob Dylan said about 20 or 30 years ago in his song. He said they mismanage everything with such great skill.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a perfect, beautiful, symphonized orchestra to them, man. It's well, and
with
I was just
such
thinking, if
yeah,
if
and
it's uh
it had to
uh
take such great skill.
a lot of the written words that are projected as truth, and sure they are good, but think about putting the lid on the box instead of just being able to fly out of the box and fly around way beyond the box at free will. Imagine putting a limitation on something and calling it knowledge, even if it's great. It's still somebody's
Yeah,
angle of perception at their very grounded view. It could be smart, but it could be missing a lot of context, and people adopt as truth. And I mean,
and kind of what I'm
knowledge. Does
getting
anybody
at.
know anything? Yeah, nobody knows anything unless you get to that point where you're drawing from not somebody's written opinion, but when you
Well,
draw
we
from
make ourselves
Akashic
very
record or source, does that have an opinion?
exactly. I agree with you. So, like the type of knowledge that I'm referring to is it's not like what I'm reading from Carlos Castaneda. It's different, and 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 what it requires is faith and trust. And I think that really makes us, and I think it's proven, definitely proven, to make us very susceptible to being misled by those who we think are knowledgeable, who have
I
the
love
right,
this conversation too.
yeah, right,
Okay.
the right.
No,
So
no, right.
people,
You could see
people,
this on certain TV shows. I like to watch The Five. I don't know if you heard of them guys. The Five. There's five
Yeah.
people. Judge Janine, blah blah blah. Great coaches are on there, but they always have one person that is on the other side.
One annoying person.
No, he's not annoying. They're not annoying. No, because they can express through their own vernacular that why they believe in something. And you know what? It's for yeah. No, I think that's a good way to see it. That's and the other person could argue such great educational expression too of why he believes just the opposite. Well, it seems to me that's what we're lost in. That's what we're lost in is these semantics. You can just about prove anything.
Yeah, so
Good
so
point.
even that is brought
Or you
down
can
to a
sound
very
like
very
we prove
singular.
nothing, but we could sound like we prove something, right? We could
Yes.
convince
Well, that's-
ourselves easily,
brought
and
to
then
a
if we have the
such a-
authority, we could convince others, or if they believe we
It's
have
such-
the authority, right?
It's such a singular outlook. Now imagine that when it's a bigger outlook than singular, take people, humanity. People are always searching for something more because what is hidden and we don't have it. That also makes us in a very, very vulnerable, able to be manipulated state. That's dangerous as fuck.
Yeah, where we
People.
become actually a danger
People.
to ourselves.
Yeah, because we long for something that makes us so much easier to be manipulated. They can give us the guise of what looks like what we were longing for, but they could totally twist a fucked up agenda in it, and all of a sudden, in our psychological, we think truth.
Yep, it's and it's funny because the mechanisms of decision making are very well understood and very well studied, like you guys were saying earlier. But it kind of goes back to the original question about psychedelics and stuff like that. But let me just open up to a random page. By the way, there was a comment, we should approach knowledge with caution. I believe we read some quotes related to that last time we connected, but let's just see what a random quote brings us. So here it says, if a warrior wants to pay back for all the favors he has received, and he has no one in particular to address his payment to, he can address it to the spirit of man or humanity. That's always a very small account, and whatever one puts in it is more than enough. I think we were just chatting about that quote a month or two ago.
Well, you know what? What Miss Apple Eater said about she had, is into harm none. It's kind of a Wiccan, but harm none. That goes along with what you said. That's what you're putting into the human account. When you harm none, you want. For instance, my people used to ask my wife Fran what Wiccan was about, because they thought it was evil. They're more from a Christian view. Wiccan. She goes, well, my wife used to say, well, when you water the plants, you're practicing Wiccan. If you're feeding the wild birds or the cats, you're practicing Wiccan. That was her perception of what Wiccan was. Harm none. She fed into that. You know what I mean? She behaved in that manner because that's harming none, including animals.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, I was trying to adjust some things on my computer, so my apologies.
Unforgiven. I don't forgive you.
You know what? I don't. I will. And if you tried to, I wouldn't. I would denounce it. I want my proper punishment.
Chaos magic.
I don't know what that means.
Miss Apple Eater, you should just freaking get on this podcast because this is interesting stuff that you're saying that I rarely don't hear. Chaos magic. What's that? I am Chaos magic all day long. I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah, I have no grasp that I can attach to on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, open invitation. Open invitation.
That'd be cool.
There's always more shows too if you're not feeling up to it today. And yeah,
Yeah.
you are at work. But
I love how it's
we do these
related.
from time to time. All the time we're always trying to get people on panels with these very discussions, and I very much cherish them.
So, yeah, Apple Eater. I know I've seen you in the chat before, and I don't know
Several
if you
chats.
follow.
And good combos.
Okay, yeah, and I don't know if you follow or if you subscribe to like the Apocryphal World Records stream. But this one is generally, it's not, I kind of try to avoid, purely speaking on like politics and stuff like that. And the Apocryphal World Records, that one, it's kind of a mixed bag, but I do some maybe less loving conversations on that one, and then just me art fan, me and him, we connect on his page, and then we also we do them. I think we get together and it's just like random whatever happens. Phil Hine, so Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. I'm not familiar with this. Phil Hine looks familiar, so maybe I've heard reference to him, but I don't have any recall at the moment. I think that Grandfather Dragonfly is taking note, so he'll educate us on Phil Hine on the next show.
You know the cool part is,
but
right?
if I read it now, by the time the next show, I'll forget everything.
So I was just thinking
So
in my
maybe
mind,
I
right?
have read some of Phil Hine. I've done some diving into the realm of magic reading. What was that, JMF?
I was just thinking in my mind, like the relevance of a lot of things is pretty fantastic. Is without the bad, could we appreciate the good for that it is? No, because we wouldn't have experienced it to learn.
Yeah, I agree. That's how we learn.
That's right.
That's the only way you can learn is through. It seems the best way to learn is when life kicks our ass.
So it's like this. It's like knowing that everything is in a perfect state of divine alignment. Despite all the chaos and the theater we see. I mean, you can look around you, and when you're in the right space, the right time, everything's aligned perfectly. Yeah, dude, everything is in divine order. All the chaos symbiotically pushes the opposition of that through the same timeline, and without it, it'd be too singular. Yep.
Back to the Hobbit. Gollum fits in. He's part of the divine plan. Those things are part of the divine plan. The guy down the road that wants to kiss your wife, you know what I mean? He's part of the divine plan.
Everything.
Now, we can hate him.
Which guy is this? I need to keep an eye out.
Hey, my accident, having my hand in a cast for 3 weeks, it had its own divine in that, and I realized I was like, had that not happened, I'd be at work. I wouldn't have learned music. I wouldn't have been able to have a lot of these conversations. A lot of things would not have happened.
Yeah, exactly. I got ill. I had a near-death experience. That's another topic, but a lot of actually good things happen out of being deathly ill for a long time. And I felt sick and I felt lousy, but you know what? There was a little heaven happening. A foretaste of heaven, I could say.
Yeah.
Um, you
Just putting
you're reading
yourself
a
in the
lot of books
alignment
that are
for
boring,
what was to
and it
come.
sounds like you're muscling through them because they have some good information.
What's so boring though? I don't get it.
A vague description of the chaos stuff. Very hard to
Oh,
read.
oh.
So boring. Yeah, sometimes you like just going back into the Joseph Campbell stuff. Uh, it was so hard to read that it was actually tedious and not exciting whatsoever until I was able to unlock um, the structure of his writing and be able to read it. And then it was very cool and very exciting.
I'm reading the Carl Jung's
Oh
the
yeah,
red
I'm
book. I'm thinking,
I'm cra-
this guy's a nut. He's just like
yeah,
me.
yeah. The last comment, and I'm like, this is me too. I'm like, I'm crazier than a shit house rat. I'm nuttier than a squirrel turd. All right, come on.
I'm the only sane one in the room.
And I'm twice as humble as you.
It's like a lot of the shows I get on. They're
I'm the
like, dude,
humblest
when we
guy I
start
know.
we start talking about stuff, and they're like, people are like, I don't know, that's J Math over there. He knows that stuff.
And you don't know what's weird? That's why I watch you and a Cool Frog and what's the
Blunt
Scotsman,
Scotsman.
the Blunt Scotsman and Manacoa. Yeah, you guys are nuts.
Yeah,
And I like it.
nuttier than a squirrel turd, my friend. Somebody's got to be,
We know it.
Dun, if you didn't have nutty squirrel turds, there would be no opposition. We are the resistance. Hate is what you make it for yourself.
The resistance by default. I'm sorry. I just can't conform. It's just.
That's good shit.
Ooh, I got another one. So tell me, listen closely and give me some of your guys' feedback. Right, I saw the first two words and I knew which quote it was. Human beings love to be told what to do, but they
I said that already. You know how?
Wait. Slow down.
We like.
Wait. Let me read the whole thing first.
All right.
No. You got first dibs. Human beings love to be told what to do, but they love even more to fight and not do what they are told. And thus, they get entangled in hating the one who told them in the first place.
Oh, man. Hey,
all right, fire away.
How many podcasts we all been on where we see this play out like in real time?
Yep.
Like, I want the answer. Here's your answer. I don't want to hear the answer.
Yep. That's so funny. That is so true. You know, there's a few people who come on and they ask all these questions and only to hate any answer, no matter what the answer was.
Well, if you think about it too, that as a collective with that involved in it, not of it, but that being in it also, does not help in the masses being able to be manipulated so easy, because having the need to be told what to do, dude, it's like, dude, you're not wrong in saying that book ain't wrong in saying that at all. Much of my life was operated under, if I didn't have somebody give me direction and purpose of something to do because of my ADHD, why I had to try and sit there and invent in my mind something to do. That's the old me, right? So it's like I needed purpose, direction, instruction, so that I felt better, I guess, felt important. That made me very manipulatable my entire life until I took a step back and I'm like, damn, that sucks. I should do something different.
At a interview from a job a long time ago, decades ago, I remember the guy interviewing me said, "Well, are you a leader or a follower?" And you know what? To this day, I'll say the same thing. If the leader has a good idea, I'll follow him. If he doesn't, I'll go my own, figure out my own thing. You know, I
Yep.
didn't get hired.
Uh,
I didn't get hired.
I have always
Your
tried to be
answer
in
was
like
too complex, huh? For his
so
level of understanding.
I've always tried to keep it symbiotic. It's like, why can't we all be leaders so that if you have a bright idea and I have a bright idea and we put them together, we have a brilliant idea. And people ain't always ready for that either. They take that as you're inferior. Oh, it's too much. And they're like, back with you, I say. I'm like, why can't it be a win-win for everybody? Why is it just got to be the limelight's on you? And then I can come up with a brilliant idea, but because you're the boss and then I said it to you and now you employed it, now it's your idea and you own it. I'm like, that's cool. That's life with a lot of people.
Well, check this out. How many times have you guys seen this? And, if we did it ourselves, we're too humble to admit it, where somebody comes up with let's just say you come up with a great idea. You share it with somebody. They are not so interested in your great idea, right? They don't think it's so cool. Then they rebrand that idea and present it as their own idea.
And get the promotion.
Oh, wow. Who does that sound like? The fucking United States government? Oh, your patent? That's a good idea, but nah. And all of a sudden it came out like morphed and manipulated and hey, dude, I tried to patent.
We have to kill you.
Yeah, I tried to patent a few things sometimes, and they ended up turning into a different technology, which sure, it was great, but I mean, obviously they ripped me off and went some other direction with my idea being the general baseline for it. And then I realized, in a patent world in the United States these days, if you ain't part of that corporation, good luck, unless you're well-funded or you got something very simplified and streamlined that is just that easy. Cheers. Good luck inventing shit out there in this day and age with our fucking government.
So it's
build it at home.
So unethical that these unethical people
or neurons
are billionaires.
that fire when.
Oh, what was that?
Oh.
Go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
Wait. What was that?
Yeah, something just.
That was you.
Oh,
in your lobby video.
But we're why didn't I thought it? I was trying to put it on stage, but it's sounding like it is on stage, which is weird. But my screen is frozen.
Oh yeah, that happened to me yesterday. It's almost like I had to drop out, refresh because I lost complete stream control
you guys,
in the studio.
Give me a second. Hold it down for me. I'll be right back. Cramming
you good, brother. We got you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got your back.
Yes.
But I better watch my front, huh?
Yeah, I always wondered this too. Is like, well, no, because it'll dive you out of the stream when you go to do the refresh. But I was like, my mic's still hot. Is it still? How long is the data lagging before the refresh actually occurs? So I am mid refresh and going, shit. Damn it. Are they picking up on that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. And it's just like, it always makes you wonder, being the one facilitating the stream and then being the one watching it, there's always these little quirks that we're dealing with, running the stream and hosting it. It's just.
And paralleling that in real life is, so you read in Stoicism, never complain to people. And don't complain when you're by yourself. Well, I do that all the time. And I'm wondering if the divine is going, oh, geez, this guy, what are you going to do with him?
That's what makes us human, bro. That's like my hard head my whole life, bro. I'll beat my head against that wall like 63 times until I go, oh, fuck, there's a lesson in there for me to learn, or else I'm going to keep beating my head in that same spot right here where it fucking hurts.
Yeah, man.
Shit, I'm supposed to learn something here. And that's the universe, man. The universe is a great teacher.
Sure is.
Yeah, well, and it's like knowing that, and so imagine I've taken over accountability for everything in my life. So everything, no matter how fucking bad it's been, has been an absolute blessing that got me to this point with my brilliant mind to be in its brilliance the way that it is right now. Took every bit of the hardship that I went through, bet your ass, all the traumas, all the deals, everything that I went through, all the struggle, all the loss of family. It made me a beautiful person. So am I grateful for it? Would I change it? Hell no, I wouldn't change a thing.
You know, my I don't deserve all that I have. You know, I'm fortunate.
That's what I feel like.
I'm just fortunate. You know, there's no. I met my wife at 24. We were just we became a couple at 29. We were married for 38, 39 years, and she passed away 3 years ago. And I was thinking, man, you know, I didn't read a book on how to be happy in marriage or any of this stuff.
Right.
And I was very ill during that time. So she was just not my wife, but my caretaker. I was in bad shape. Literally had a hard time walking. At one time, I had a walker, and man, you know, and now, to me, I'm living large. You know, just and I didn't put anything into it, but I'm fortunate. So sometimes I wonder how the universe works. Other people work hard.
So this is what I love is like I mean, I don't like in the same sense, I don't feel like I deserve a lot of what I have, but I still plant the seeds, and I know that somehow the divine creator has my back. He will bless me because I choose him, even when I am stubborn. I am stubborn.
Yeah.
He will bless me.
That's what I think. Like I was saying about, I see Exodus, and it's not a religious thing. It's a metaphor for coming out of bondage, and no matter what they did, you'll notice all the way through
that fight.
Oh, that's
I don't
weird.
know why. Sorry, I don't know why it's playing automatically.
That's that guy I was talking about, Greg. What's his name? I got it written down. Braden.
That's why I said synchronicity is going well.
Wow. So, but anyway, just to get back to that point, you know, we make up these golden calves, we make up these religions, we make up these philosophies, and we're going to town. We sin, we miss the mark of divinity, and yet who is always with them through the wilderness? God never leaves them, no matter what stupid things we do. He doesn't leave us.
It's like this, dude. I was at a point in my life where I was trying to go fuck up. Like, lost my dad. My dad died. I got to know him 7 years. I was like, I don't want to be here no more. I was out trying to find trouble and trying to fuck up out of some sort of self-pity, loathing, deep down fucking depression, whatever that even spawned from. Couldn't tell you. But it was bad. It wasn't good. So even in the midst of me trying to go create chaos in my life for myself intentionally, nah, he got my back. He's like, oh, you want to roam the streets 2 o'clock in the morning and look for trouble? Guess what? I hit all the trouble and they all put away. Go home, my friend. And I'll be riding out 4 or 5 hours. I'll be like, dude, the whole time. What's up, frog? The whole time. It's like, dude, even without me realizing it, I'm like, damn, that whole night was a bust. I didn't get to go fuck up my life anymore. Damn, the Lord really got a purpose for me. He got my back.
Yeah, I really think so. You know, when my wife died 3.5 years ago, and I actually I wanted to die. I did want to die, and I didn't get up for weeks. You know, out of my bed. In the first 4 days, I didn't even eat, but I took a different route. I just thought, okay, I'm going to find a way to transcend my sorrow. You know, and you know, I meditated at an early age, and I started meditating again. Actually, very influential was Manakoa, who got me back into it. So I meditated. I kept an exercise routine. I practiced Stoic mindsets, and none of it worked. What happened was I finally realized
to try and pull yourself back to healthy.
yeah. And well, I never transcended it, but the sorrow and sadness became just a part of my life. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to hide my head in the sand like an ostrich. That's what I was trying to do. When
So,
really,
so me,
real life is different. And now it's
so
not it's a part of me. It's a part of me. I think it's not a new
yeah,
thing. Billions of people go through this.
yeah. So I call it. I mean, there's stages of grieving, but it's pain and transmutation, and until you choose to transmutate through that pain, you will be stuck in it. You know, and for myself, dude, I chose to be stuck in that bad, and I was like, look, I have to allow myself to process these feelings and handle it in a different fucking perception. Otherwise, it stays exactly where it was stuck in. It was like I have to
Yeah.
process these emotions. I got to quit fighting. I got to quit fighting so hard of what it is that I need to process. And if I allow myself to process it openly, then I will grow. And if I don't,
Hmm.
I'm not going to grow. I'm going to stay stuck beating my head against that stupid fucking wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
well,
was, man, like I said, year and a half, like I like gave up on my own life after my dad died, and then losing my mom, my sister, and finally I was like, what did it for me? I guess my own way of meditation is I quit listening to music with words and started listening to more vibrational music, the energy, the flow of it, a lot more Alan Watts chill step, the listening to the words and wisdom of the cosmos in its realness and its vastness, and not all of the shit built for the construct of the ego, the mind, the flesh, all that shit that we don't get to take with us when we die. It was like at that point in time, it was like I have to get myself back to realize that all that shit needs to be thrown the fuck away. It's garbage. It does not suit my spiritual journey. And it was like it was hard, like a year and a half to pull myself back and then really just realize, okay, it's time to get back on this angelic wave I felt like I was riding years and years ago that was just so grand, and I can only merely pretend to be on the same level that I was at that one time. I'm always chasing that, but it's a journey. We're all learning. I was
Yeah.
lucky enough
yeah,
to experience that high when I did, so it gives me something to seek.
yeah. Kind of looking at the comment. And hello, Cool Frog. I didn't get to say hi. Hello, hello. Good morning to you. Hope you got some sleep. I'm sure that you were streaming into the wee hours of the morning, or maybe you haven't went to sleep yet. Um, Ribbit. But with never ask the universe for a lesson. You know, I do ask the universe or God or however you want to refer to that source of life, and you know what, I asked very specifically for a very uh, gentle elucidations because I'm a scared wimp. And I'm
Man.
being honest with that. I asked very specifically for a gentle, kind elucidation. Um,
Oh, hey, you know what? Hey, I know what you mean because now I don't say this anymore. I'll tell you one thing I don't say anymore. I said, one day I got so mad at the divine, I said, damn it, give me a fucking break. Oops, I don't know if I'm supposed to swear. And what
you're good.
happened after that? I broke my collarbone, my two ribs, my fingers on both sides. And in fact, Manakoa had to take me to the hospital. Remember that?
Yeah, yes, I
So
remember
So
now I
that.
don't say give me a break because
I remember, because the Lord and his divine and awesome, awesome cosmic badassery, fucking magical magnificence that he is, will be like, oh, you got a plan, do you?
yeah, yeah.
Whoosh.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna learn today. And we fast tracked it because you won't test me. But I still got you and I love you. There's some lessons in this with some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Wham!
Well,
Lessons.
you know,
Yeah.
and,
Oh
and
yeah, dude.
I'm beginning to not. It's not have faith in it. I'm beginning to really believe that's part of life. That's really good. You know, no matter what we do, he's watching our
Oh yeah.
back. He's taking care of us. And I'm not religious. But I feel like there's
Right.
something
But
watching out for me.
dude, he loves us, but boy, does he like got this whole persona of, yeah, you won't fuck around, you're gonna find out. Mm-hmm. Don't
Oh,
worry
you know
about
what?
the people that ignore all of this because I'm gonna handle them in their due time. But you don't fuck around, you're gonna find
Yeah.
out.
I wrote a song in my 20s when I was a Bible student, and it was kind of a blues song. And I was going, I forgot how it kind of went melodically, but some about it. Lord, Lord, you got my back against the wall. Lord, Lord, you got my back against the wall. He goes, that's my hand, son, so that you don't fall.
Ooh,
Oh, it's kind of neat,
nice.
huh?
Yeah, that's pretty.
Groovy.
Well, if
We
pressure
shoulda,
makes whipped cream, it can't be that bad.
Oh, I love whipped cream. Against doctor's
But
orders, it goes on my coffee.
you got to be careful though, because
Oh, and
nowadays you
I know.
can whip up some lard and Crisco and it look just like that ice cream. Don't
Well,
want to fucking eat that motherfucker, dude.
I'm
I went to
eat
church
that
when I was a
stuff.
kid, and when I was younger, I had a hard lesson played on me in church.
Is that J
We went into Sunday school, right? On the body, that's funny. Sunday school, they had sitting up on the little pulpit speech in the kids area Sunday. I can't even remember what the fuck it was called. It was like the whatever room for the kids, the youth class.
Yeah, the youth
Well,
group.
we get in there, there's like 16 of us in this. We're all sitting down. There's 2 teachers in the room, and sitting up on the pulpit, they got this fucking Sunday that just looks divine, bro. I mean, like, and they're like, who wants this Sunday? And they wanted to see who wanted that Sunday the baddest, right? Like they wanted it the most. Well, me, ADHD Russ, I turned out to be this kid. I was like, fuck yeah, I want this Sunday. Do you want this Sunday? I want this Sunday. Do you want this Sunday? I want this Sunday. You know, I'm up there. I dive spoon full in right there in front of everybody and eat this Sunday. And it tasted kind of different, but I was like, whatever, dude. Chocolate, whipped cream, sprinklers. I get to the bottom of that motherfucker, and they pull out the can of Crisco, set it on the counter, and it was like, that wasn't ice cream.
That's not cool. That is not nice at all.
That happened. That happened.
Mama
but
told
to
me
they were. I was too young to realize the lessons in which was being inflicted upon me at that time. But looking back in it in my older age, I'm like, how manipulatable are people? Like, boy, they make it real shiny, pretty, and say, hey, you want to sign up for this, don't you? You want to sign up for the jab? You want to sign up for the jab, don't you? Oh, you want to get that flu shot, don't you? It looks so nice and okay.
You get to share
Like, dude,
it with your
that's
community.
that's a
Get to
hard
share.
life lesson right there, man.
I like that saying that Apple Eater said, have you really lived if you didn't want to die at some point? There's something to that.
Oh yeah. Well, it's
Yeah,
in the moments of
so-
dying you realize that, you know, is your life really truly worth living? So then you're going to stand up, rise up. You're going.
It's
to me,
well,
it's like it's a blade that cuts both ways. Like that. What that comment?
The pendulum swing.
the Don Juan said, "Death is a teacher." Yes, sirree.
Yes, sirree, but stay away from me.
So it's so beautiful in itself. It's so beautiful in itself. So in losing people close to us, realizing that life is temporary. Death makes us realize real motherfucking quick. You lose a family loved one real close to you, you're like, oh yeah, all of a sudden life might be worth living because I'm blessed enough that I woke up today.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
old age isn't promised to everybody.
A Buddhist was very helpful to me. He said, you got to when I lost my wife, it was a hard time, and he said to meditate on impermanence. This is the cycle of life. This is what happens. And I gotta admit, I was really angry when to the powers that be that my wife died, and I was pissed off, man. It was like, anyway,
Get that.
yeah,
Gotcha.
I had to meditate on
I get
impermanence.
that. My dad, 52 years old,
It's
cholesterol
been
blockage of
weird
the
like
heart,
that.
CPR, and 8 days later he died. And I only got to know him 7 years. I met him when I was 25. You bet your ass I was pissed off at the fuck. Nobody could tell me a
Yeah.
motherfucking thing. I was like, you tell me sideways, I'll rip your head right off your shoulders and shit down your neck, dude. I was like, I did not care. It was like, fuck the world, man. I was like, I did not care. I'm blessed to be where I'm at right now. Because I had to see that even inside of all of that heartache, losing my dad and meeting him at 25
Yeah.
and shit,
You know,
there was a lot of miracles inside of that, like absolutely profound miracles. Like, dude, I randomly picked up a girl off the side of the road and turned out I saved her life, and her family fucking like prayed over me, thanking me because it took me 7 days while my dad was dying in the hospital. She stole 3 cars, had some mental conditions, and I left her sitting in my car in the hospital parking lot while my dad was dying with my phone and the keys to my car and trying to figure out how to contact her family, and was able to facilitate that while my dad was dying, facilitating miracles where my family was being in to have the closure instead of my dad being gone, and still able to get this girl back to her home 3 hours away. Yeah, I mean, crazy miracles, things I didn't understand. I mean, just so many divine things. And yeah, I was still like not realizing things, still pissed off at the fucking world, dude. I had just lost my dad. My dad was my everything, dude.
yeah.
But yeah, it took a lot of healing for that shit. A lot of healing. But because of the miracles inside of it, man, it's like, that was what steered me back towards the light. Is like, even though I lost something so close to me, I feel like the Lord took my dad from me. That wasn't it. My lessons in that was my parents are in heaven and they're proud of the way that I'm handling things right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
It happens. She said.
Yeah. It happens. Yeah. Death is
No,
inescapable.
we don't have to like it, but it happens, and it's part of life. Yeah.
And so it's like, to me, I mean, we have things we like. We have interests. Sure, we like material things that we collect. We like are tangible, but it's like at any sense, when anybody dies, we don't get to take shit with us, but our memories, our soul, our consciousness, and our journey. That's what goes. Just like I've been such an unmaterialistic person. Like, things don't matter. Sure, it'd be nice to have a car again. It'd be nice to have all them cool clothes that I made, or whatever. It's like, a die, it doesn't matter. What matters more? People, humanity, love, life. That's number one in my life. Outward focus, not on myself, but all of us together. That's number one.
Hey, I'm going to try to give this video a play if you guys are all right with that.
Yeah, I might have to slide out soon after this video because I do got to get ready to go to my doctor appointment.
Okay,
so.
how about this? This is kind of a series of little snippets of short videos from a longer interview. So it was the Greg Braden interview number 2 with Andre Dukun. I don't know how to say that name, but I just pulled some snippets out for our conversational purpose, but maybe we'll smash through as much as we can before you have to bounce out, and then we'll probably just finish up soon after, or see how we go. So let me just play the first one.
Cool.
Are neurons that fire when we have an experience and when we witness the experience. Kubeli neurons are neurons that fire when we have an experience and when we witness the experience.
So again, very, very short little tidbits there. And I believe he called them kabillion neurons. I could be wrong, but they also call they're saying that they're mirror neurons.
So me like so all the thinking, the thought, like so an antenna emits frequency, right? You
Yes.
have a pineal gland in your brain with piezoelectric style crystals on small level that emit frequency. And now think the entire planet around you is the receiver of your transmitter. You are the particle accelerator transmitter into the world. So every molecule, as soon as it exits your body thought process in a vibration, light, photonic level of quantum field entanglement, you're bumping bumper cars with everything around you with your thoughts, energy, and vibration.
That's I'm gonna go to the second one. Great comment.
To respond to the apple eater making people feel, they'll remember how you made them feel and how you smelled. I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble on both counts.
I'm gonna be very memorable in that case.
Even my mom couldn't stand me, so
Because of the smell.
because of how I made her feel and my smell. I was a horrible kid, I have to admit.
Yeah,
I
I wasn't. I tried to be, but I had my moments where I was fucking hell on wheels, man. I mean, all my traumas wrapped up in one, and fucking didn't know how to handle them, but project them onto other people. You bet your ass I was hell on wheels.
I didn't like people I remember being 6 or 7 years old, and I just didn't like my relatives. I didn't like my mom and dad. I didn't talk to my mom and
Antisocial.
dad. Yeah, just a weird kid. Maybe I had some weird mental problems, born with them, not
My my whole life I've been like that until last year when our construction business tanked. I started getting more involved with the social media, with people of like-minded stuff, started getting involved with people on Rumble and connecting with people in the same thoughts and energy. And man, I've been antisocial my whole life. I've only been to one concert my whole life when I was young. I'm like,
Yeah.
people, no. Crowds, fucking absolutely not. Fucking Walmart, Jesus, fuck, do we have to? You know, like,
What's up,
people.
Revan?
But getting on here and actually being able to connect with people, dude, has really cracked that shell wide open. It's like get out of your comfort zone and find out that it wasn't so uncomfortable.
So I think
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really, I think I really
Time and a
screwed.
place.
I think I didn't do that last clip any justice. But kind of just I'll play the next one, but this one was kind of just explaining, and I misclipped it, explaining how we learn from basically mirroring something by watching someone
Observing.
do something, and
That's how I
and
learn.
and basically he's saying that the same neurons are getting fired up than when we're actually doing it, the same as when we are imagining ourselves doing it. But let's just go to the next one because I know time is of
No,
the
that's
essence.
perfect. Well, you're good though. That
Yeah.
was perfect the way you said it though, because like I most efficiently learn if somebody can teach me a small task of which I can't think for myself, but they slow down enough in patience where I can observe it, but then I can execute it. I'm like, ooh, I just had a success rate where I've done it myself.
Well,
Now
now
we're off.
you're helping me remember that the reason I kind of clipped that too was it's also how we're being programmed.
Yes.
This is how the media and things like that actually program people.
Yeah, the very
into-
indoctrination
yeah.
that goes on.
You're watching people do certain things, and we are watching the way the world. We're getting this description of the world, and we're seeing horrific things and things that we think are nasty, and it's firing up our neurons in a way that we're, according to this, and I don't know for sure, but in a way that we're actually participating in some grotesque things, which makes me try to be careful with what I digest with my eyes and my ears.
Neurons and brain patterns and stuff. So Bill Gates, I think it was back in like 09 or something. It could have been
Good
04.
day.
I can't remember the date. Hi, Blunt Scotsman. Bill Gates sat down with the CIA in a room in a meeting where he put up on the screen and says, if you think religiously or free thinking thought or whatever, you're not complacent with our agenda, your brain highlights this area. We have a vaccine that can stop that. That was Bill Gates and the CIA way the fuck back then.
Oh man.
Yeah, I've seen some.
This is why
similar-
I watch you guys, and then I see the Blunt Scotsman there. Hi, and I watch you too, Blunt Scotsman. I love listening to you guys. You guys,
Yeah, brilliant
yeah,
minds.
all kinds. Yeah, very informative people. You know quite a bit. And I was telling Manakoa that I didn't want to do this podcast thing, but you know what I did it for is because hanging out with you guys is such a pleasure. It's so neat. You know, you got your tribe. This, wow, this is cool.
Thank you. And I just dropped a link if you have the capacity, the time to drop in. That would be cool. So I'm going to play the next clip. Let's see if I got anything. I tried to not get like the total explanation of these things so that we can use our own minds.
Through the polarity of the brain will do what it does best. It will answer you in polarity. In polarity, you're always going to have a right and a wrong, and a good and a bad, and a healed and a sick, and a success and a failure, and a worthy and a not worthy. And the beauty of the heart is there is no left and right heart.
Yeah, I apologize. I recorded these quiet, but did we get the gist of that?
Mm.
Oh, yee! Welcome to the show, Morning Light Radio, the ever so revered Blunt Scotsman.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi guys.
Morning, good evening, whichever it be. How are you?
Now, I have to say what he just said, Manakoa, seemed to be like that thing as Jesus in the Gospels explanation of when he told the stone throwers, even though the stone throwers were scripturally correct, literally, the Torah says to stone the woman, right or wrong, transcended. Tough for the scriptures, tough for my father, right? Right? You know what I'm saying? Am I
So-
saying
Yeah.
it right?
So
Yep,
this
yep.
this gives the inclination of growth. So something that may be written, you can come into a circumstance of which it is ready to grow past and overcome.
And I kind of get the
That is a
feeling
beautiful teaching in itself. So you do not have to be of the old. If you flow like water, you are ready for the birth of a new moment in every moment. In
And let me
infinite.
just play it again real quick. And I know it's so quiet, so it is what it is at this point. I'll know next time.
He did say right or wrong. It doesn't happen in the heart, right? Is that what he said?
Yes, he
something?
did.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah, I'm going to play it again.
That just is so cool.
You try to solve that through the polarity of the brain will do what it does best. It will answer you in polarity. In polarity, you're always going to have a right and a wrong, and a good and a bad, and a healed and a sick, and a success and a failure, and a worthy and a not worthy. And the beauty of the heart is there is no left and right heart.
Yeah, yep. No left or right heart. So,
Correct.
yeah, kind of the essence that I'm just getting from that small little piece.
Essence.
Is
I love that word essence.
Yeah, is that he's overriding.
You're not the first person to say that, or unless you're talking about the Blunt Scotsman too.
No, I think he's. I think
Hey,
he's
I'm all
talking.
interested. I dig that. I want to be the most interesting man in the world, but I'm not.
I think she was talking about Greg Braden.
Oh,
Why?
We may not be the most interesting men in the world, but collectively we definitely are.
Aye.
Collectively, yes, agreed.
We are so interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so kind of, to me, what he's getting at is that we have this mechanism right here that can override the dichotomy of our thinking system.
Yeah. We're smarter than AI. We have a way more advanced CPU processing center that fires on neurons, that
Something, all
also
right.
acts with alpha, beta, zeta waves. It also entangles with frequency and light photons on electromagnetic and photonic measurable scales of energy, quantifiable in a quantum field. Like I said, like my thought will smash into every ion around me until it bumps into you, and you just felt my thought. That's quantum entanglement.
Yeah.
Getting
But it all
back to Greg Braden, was it? Let me see. I wrote his name down so I didn't forget. Greg Braden.
Brady,
Yeah. What he's
Braden.
Braden. Yeah. Aligned with what he said. Now, you guys probably know a lot more about this. I came across it that the heart actually puts out more vibration, and they can detect it from 5 feet away more than our brain. And since kind of the love comes from the heart, it's not just it's a thing, and it goes 5 feet around us and it hits other people. When we meet people, we're actually conversing on a different level, you know?
So that's like core self. So I would say that's well, the heart sits in the center, but that would be like your kundalini, your chi, your chakras aligned properly, which would dictate your aura, which if you're a light particle accelerator in the walking flesh, you have an electromagnetic photonic beam of aura around you, measurable at any given time, measurable by light and frequency. So sound and light, seeable through certain filters that interact in an electromagnetic universe.
Okay, I don't know what you said. All I'm thinking, you're very. That's a very technical way of saying it. I would just say, they're finding out that the heart, the area of the heart, is much more intelligent and has much more nerves and things going on than this computer up here. That it's this important, right? I mean, that's what it seems to be saying.
Yeah.
So in a sense, yes. Go ahead, Scotsman.
Thank you, man. I was just saying, without a doubt, but what J-Math was just pointing out a little second ago that you said that was a little confusing was all the signals, all the energies, everything's out there, and we are the receptor. We are the satellite
The transmitter.
every single esoteric entity. But yet, these individual and separate components in our body that all have their very individual jobs to do for us are all connected.
Yeah.
Oh, very
Yeah.
good.
I believe that.
Most of the DMT that's actually created in our body doesn't come from the pineal gland; it comes from the gut.
Oh.
And this
Chemical.
this isn't actually through digestive system. This is how we actually think and where our mindset is that creates these DMT in our gut.
The loveliest part of this
being the thing that is maybe the receptacle part that maybe creates the love and energy of empathy. It's connected to our emotional response and sensory perception, which is us as the satellite dish receiving all the signals that J-Math was just talking about.
Yeah, understood.
We are also.
It's instant. It's instant. It's an instant thing.
This is what's so. So just like you said, things are chemical compositions manufactured inside of the gut. So inside of the periodic table of elements, each element has a structured frequency, which also coincides with a light beta wave attached to it in a sound frequency according to each element. Elements making up a chemical composition inside of the gut, the body, to produce zeta, theta, alpha, thoughts, neurons, spirituality, feeling, thought, all of the things that astral travel with you when you are still here, but your travels with you. That is the core essence, the higher dynamics of our gifted energy that operates the skin suit.
Once you start to look at this esoteric energy forces and then the physical biological dynamics that we understand, that we pick these up through many different kinds of emotions. So it's like, oh, just a second, connected, 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 connected. Once
Chemically,
truly
energetically,
once we really
and electromagnetically
understand that we are all just one big connection. We are truly part of each other. I hear a bit of bad news about you today, and I feel upset. I feel emotional. I'm invested somehow in just by knowing someone. But it's these esoteric energies that Jeff Map is pointing out, as this is the unseen, deep connection that we truly all have, that we're all at the moment trying to tune into.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everything's so. I mean, like I was saying, I'm no differently connected to that plant, vibrating in energy with a energy signature off of it, growing in the earth with its natural frequency, opposed to even the light beta waves that hit me when I go experience the sun with its entanglement involved in everything around us, everything in perfect symbiosis, 100% of the time, always, no matter how small or minuscule it is. We're like in a state of cosmic vibration.
And something's interesting is I think we could all attest that we see that that the vast majority of people allow, we allow our own thoughts to misguide us sometimes because of the good and bad, because of the concepts basically, and it sounds like by deferring the question to the heart, again, just according to this train of thought that we're looking at there, is by deferring that question to the heart, he's suggesting that there's an intelligent connection that is not attached to falsehoods. That's kind of what resonated with my idea of what was being shared. And I don't know if it's true or not, but I like the idea.
Yeah, and I also do think to attach that through life experience eventually comes the discernment and intention and intuition part of all this, where we don't actually feel that our thoughts are being misguided, other than this is possibly another lesson.
Spiritual force field,
because
engaged.
Yeah, but because there's a certain dynamic in how we decide to choose to experience this life. When we can maybe think that, you know what, I've been thinking about this all wrong, and I've been going about this all wrong. In fact, I don't really know where my mind is in this. Rather than I'm actually glad that I've been thinking like this, because now I've been able to process it and understand this is not for me. So I think it's still a very important process of this. Are we ever going to think right when we are constantly not in control of what we experience? We have no control on what I see next, what I hear next.
Well, to a certain degree.
To a certain degree. Not at all. I'm in no control. You have no control of your sensory perception whatsoever. It's what happens after we sensory perceive that builds our own perception on our own built-up characteristics of how we.
I have some control over my diet, right?
But that's how I receive it and choose it at the angle. So just for instance, for me, when I started to realize things, it was like, I am not my thoughts and vibration and energy. I am in my own unique consciousness in my own way, but I am also you. I'm also you. I'm also you. And we are all vibrating together on the same timeline at the very specific same time. So it's like, I have to take my mindset back and look, okay, you're not thinking Russ. You're thinking all four of us at once at the same time. But then I'm also thinking, I'm trying to think more singular than that. I'm trying to think 8 billion people as a collective and what would be a win-win for all of us positively to maybe engage in conversation or knowledge, not because me or myself, but because the collective 8 billion consciousnesses exist in such a beautiful symbiotic dance together, realized and unrealized, that those are the very things that we talk about, that is what is needed in the world, you know, for the future of people to plant those seeds. And that's not me of myself. That is something way beyond myself. I could only like tap in to say, hey, it came out of my mouth, and that's it.
Let me drop the next clip in, and it's kind of seems to all be lining up quite well. Again, it's very quiet. That's how I screen recorded it, so I can't turn it up.
We were never given the opportunity to mourn the loss. And we all lost something. Many of us lost friends. I lost my mom during that time. Many of us lost friends and loved ones. But even if you didn't lose a person, we all lost a way of life. And we all lost freedoms. And we've never been given the opportunity to mourn that loss. It doesn't have to be a big outward expression, just the acknowledgement.
Okay, so he is speaking about the scamdemic time frame, which and at first it wanted to trigger me, right? But then he actually made a lot of sense. Let me remove that. Any takes?
I think it's a very generalized opinion.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, for many people who have been experiencing this world and actually taking notice of what's going on, the pandemic and the scamdemic and what's happened with the vaccines was just a matter of time. This has all been one big plan. It's been rolled out over decades. A final capstone event is, without a doubt, everyone can definitely see now, this is a population control program. We see what's happening, and obviously they're just so clever, while also working on the depopulation. They're also profiting. You know, the darkest of shadows that we're dealing with here.
Well,
you know, and as far as
they are,
as far as this gentleman was saying that people haven't been given enough time to sort of recover through this and mourn through this, well, maybe he doesn't really realize that this has been an ongoing war for a long time. There isn't actually any time to mourn. This is a time to actually start to get a little bit angry and regenerate that energy into some sort of, I really don't know, but positive change.
Yeah. Unified in a positivity, but like, we will take no more.
And I tell you what, I really do feel that a lot of people maybe do need to recover and mourn for those who have been vaccinated, those who have lost family members who have been vaccinated, those who have lost jobs and family members because they took a stance on the vaccination. I do get that. Without a doubt, so many people, their worlds will have been shaken by how they have been treated for maybe the stance that they took. But this is really
every single country is on a depopulation agenda by the New World Order, under whatever guise and Band-Aid fucking banner they want to stick it and label it as, that launders and facilitates taking money from us. I mean, and the depopulation agendas are all 75% or higher in every country. And the occult, they believe that they are the ones that will usher in this whole fucking shit show. In their belief system, they are putting it on the forefront, because in their belief system, they are the ones that will usher in all of this uncorked in their evil satanic symbiosis of nature and balance to bring the light of which is supposed to. I mean, it's all fucked up. But it's all
really,
not.
Really look out and see a lot of it. You can look out and see a lot of the things in play at the moment. Well, I definitely see, without a doubt, never mind food, wars, vaccines, there's a depopulation happening, right? And people are not reprocreating either. There's a depopulation happening. But at the same time, on the political playing field, they are overpopulating certain areas.
Yeah.
Then you look what's happened in Europe, okay, where they generally looked across the demographics of the country and seen this big age gap of working people between 21 and 35. So over the case of the last
Yeah.
15, 20 odd years, most of the European nations have all had their hands in every single war, creating the overspill of all the immigrants to get out to fill these
Both sides.
demographic areas. And then when you look at the Netherlands,
Money.
when you look at the Netherlands with the most amount of immigrants, and the list goes down of how many immigrants from each country, and it starts at Turkey. Why does it start at Turkey? Because Turkey was the most welcoming country for all immigrants in the Middle East. Then you start to go all
That's
down
where
the
it
list,
started.
and it's Morocco, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan. But now,
You know why?
Europe have said, hey,
It was also
we don't
it
want
was also
any
the
more immigrants. They've filled their demographic area now. Same in Holland, same in Germany, same in Portugal. We don't want any more. Thank
Yeah.
you. We've got what we
the
need.
the Rothschild banking system. They started the wars so they could take over the banking systems. In fact, there was only like 2 places left on the whole fucking list of world global domination with the New World Order banking shit was North Korea and Syria were like the last 2 on the list. Everything
So,
else has been under
so-
fucking BlackRock, Vanguard,
AWR,
fucking all that
this is
shit.
unbelievably spiritually tied into the fabrics of our system and social complex, where it's not just this
Yeah.
pure blood and guts that we're seeing. It's totally spiritual, over politicized spirituality. What's going on?
Fuck yeah, it is. Even the words that are still lucky enough to exist that weren't scraped, we exist in a spiritual warfare beyond the constructs of the flesh. So fucking hardcore right now that people can't even wrap. I can't even wrap my brain around it. I can only merely take it. I can't.
Really difficult to get your head around any of this stuff that's going on at the moment.
Well, yeah,
Well-
the last couple weeks, like what I told you went on with my brother-in-law, and it left me in a fucking peril in my mind, dude. And even knowing what I know, I was just like, what the fuck?
Let me just interject quickly here.
Yeah.
I'm pulling very, very small clips from what this gentleman has said. It was about a 4-hour recording that already got edited down to a 2-hour recording. So I don't know, I'm not giving the essence of what he's saying. And I'm not trying to give the full story of his opinions. I'm just giving us a little something to play with. So I don't want to misrepresent, what his was. I think you guys know the way I feel about the subject already. So, but I felt, I thought I was going to be put off when he went there, but I ended up listening and I wasn't put off. So I thought it had some meaningful cadence to what he was projecting. So that's kind of, but I also know that's something that we all take.
I got 5 minutes left.
Okay, let me play this next one then.
Of embodying the healing in a moment in time,
Whoa, what the hell is that?
capable of embodying the healing in a moment in time.
Okay, so yeah, that's I guess I rushed
I think that
doing
was just
these.
the end of
Yeah, so
got
there-
the screen record take that you wasn't happy with and threw that in on accident. I get multiple too. And
well,
sometimes choose
I was
the
just
wrong
going,
ones.
but it sounds like it didn't catch the first part, so that's all good. I'll pull up the next one and just keep rattling them off.
If Wolverine had a dad, is that it?
Yeah, he. It's funny because
He's got that look.
on the podcast that he was on,
Wolverine's dad.
there was a comment. Somebody said his hair looks like he's blowing his own mind from what he's saying. and he thought it was hilarious. So let's try this one. I don't know. Maybe.
Is our spiritual energy manifesting in this world? If I say yes,
Oh Oh, what is going?
Whatever we do is our spiritual energy manifesting in this world. If I say yes,
Okay, whatever we do. So he's saying whatever we do is
Whatever we do,
our spiritual
spiritual-
energy manifesting in this world.
100. 100. 100,000.
Whatever we
Yeah.
do.
Well, that's like that quantum entanglement. Your spirit is beyond. Your spirit is where your thoughts, mind, eye, your pineal gland tells your neurons how to think, how to feel, how to act. Your response to it all, and that's quantumly entangled. So now my spiritual thoughts and vibrations become what is my reality. So I took something that is etherical pseudoscience and transmuted it into reality. Damn. We're powerful. Shit.
The one that I kind of fudged up, I thought it was kind of cool. Not what I did, but what he was saying was he was kind of like describing us our ability to heal as our capability at any given moment in time.
That's why they poison the food.
Which I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run
All right,
this.
brother.
Okay.
I got to do it though because I got to like hustle and get ready now. I bet probably stayed a little too long, but I love you guys. I will catch you
Thank
guys
you
on
for
the flip
staying.
side.
Good to see you
Love it,
again.
appreciate it.
Good to see you again, brother.
Yes,
All right.
man.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love all
Appreciate
you guys very much. You guys are my humans. Have a
You are
wonderful
Have a great day,
day,
man.
evening, night, afternoon. Yeah, man.
Amen, my brother. Tell wifey we said thank you. All right, let me pop this other one up, and hopefully I get some of what he's saying.
what I do is separate from what I am.
Okay, that's all I wanted from that particular one. What I do is separate from what I am. I don't think that's really serving what he was saying.
See, we know just even in basic psychology that it's very important. It's very important that the way that we think has a direct effect on our health.
Yes.
So okay, so where
Yep.
do these direct thinking patterns come from? A lot of these direct patterns come from exactly what we're experiencing, because we need to deal with that first before there's maybe any time where we can sit down, close the curtains, put on some quiet music, and get into some meditation and try and direct these thoughts into a more sort of like managed and focused direction. We are struggling for control constantly. Constantly. This is where there needs to be so much work done on core and management of what we experience through our sensory perception, almost that it doesn't matter what we now see, we understand it at a certain level for what it truly is. The awakening part to this is always going to be a massive part. The realization, being stuck in the middle and trying to work out what it actually means to yourself as an individual, maybe your family and your community. Then the acceptance part. And I think that
seems to be the journey of life, getting to know yourself, learning to have a good mindset, a healthy mindset, which definitely affects your physical health. I mean, that's the
It's really
journey.
strange. It's really strange, sort of like maybe like recognizing certain battles or things in your own life and recognizing what you need to do to create some sort of balance as you go fighting these battles. Then you maybe get to a point where you're like, oh, life's a battle.
Yeah.
It cuts out. You're almost the, what is it again? Are you better with a warrior in the garden or a gardener in the war?
Yeah. Yeah. That's, you know what, to me, that's an important mindset. The mindset is to, I always use the metaphor of being in the wilderness. You got to learn to survive in the wilderness. You've got to have, you have to have a mindset that life is not mostly a bedwood of roses, or what do they call that? It's not a bed of roses. It's a confronting things constantly. You have to have the mindset of a warrior, not like tip and toe through the tulips type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's I think there's a huge delay on the comments, so if it looks like I'm getting to them late, it's just or we're delayed and for them, so I guess that's just how it is today. Let's see. Let me do the next one.
It's strange sometimes how
What I
words
do
we
is
use
separate
a
from
lot in our Sorry, yeah.
No, you can go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's strange how sometimes we use words in our dynamics in life path, like hope. At one point, I'm sure, to me, hope was a very light word. I'm sure it had wings. I'm sure it had dreams. I'm sure it had some sort of distance. Now, hope to me is my sword and shield, community, and understanding. You know, my hope energy has changed while hope remains.
Yeah. Yep. These concepts have transformed over time.
what I do is separate from what I am.
Oh, that's the same one. Criminy crumpets. That's how it's going to be, huh? Let's see.
Yeah, that's how it's going to be.
All right. Let's see. Hopefully, this is a different one. But if it not, I guess it really wants me to hear that one.
Experience, every emotion that we have creates a chemical in our body. It's a chemical equivalent for every emotion, and it's called a neuropeptide, is what it is. And when we have joyous experiences, those neuropeptides metabolize and they flow right out of the body, no problem, which is what they're designed to do. When we have experiences that we don't have the tools to address, if you're 3 years old or 5 years old and you're in an abusive family, you don't have the tools at 5 years old, but you still have those chemicals in your body. So our bodies are so smart. What happens is, I'll just paraphrase, the body says, oh, you don't have the tools right now, so we're going to store this chemical for you. We're going to park it in a place in the body, and usually the chemical is parked in the organ or the tissue associated with the trauma.
Now, that's an interesting concept, I think. So he's proposing that there is chemicals released during trauma that will store them if we cannot efficiently process them. He goes on to say that the place of storage will be appropriate to the type of trauma. So if it's sexual trauma, it would be in the sexual organs. If it's, love trauma, it will be in the heart and that type of thing. I have wings, my friend. I definitely have wings.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah, well, just when we consider like the energetic body, which I could probably have more relationship to, and as far as language goes, you talk about having a blockage, and I think that's sounds like it just talking about the same thing, where you have kind of a stale energy that hasn't been addressed, and sometimes we could address it through a stretch maneuver or through hitting a certain note, or through maybe sometimes through a thought process. through
Well,
maybe
well,
through meditation?
that's that's what I was just thinking there also about maybe the biomechanics of what the gentleman was just talking about there, where like some sort of psychosomatic manifestation through a trauma event where uh, where you were at school every day and a bully would grab you by the throat and like, sort of block your airwaves a little bit. Then later on in life, you would maybe start to have these problems round about the neck area of the breathing, but maybe that could definitely be a manifestation of a psychosomatic effect where you would constantly be thinking about that trauma event. You know, that would maybe be a recurring thing that you would maybe dream about or worry about or get into another situation where something would trigger the thought of that trauma event where it would maybe start to definitely generate at the place of trauma.
Yeah,
I could see
it
that.
has a logical. It sounds logical to me. My dad's battery died on his computer, so he said goodbye through text message, and thanks for hanging out. I'm going a little bit longer than I expected, but I got a few more short clips. If you'll hang out, I'll try to work through them kind of quickly.
Yeah, man.
Work is a powerful lubricant for those neuropeptides. Heart-brain coherence. When you can create the coherence, then the experience is present without the rightness or the wrongness or the goodness or the badness or the guilt or the worthiness or the not worthiness of the brain.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of going back to a little bit of the first or second clip where my idea was bypassing it, but then we also talked about the connectivity, of everything we are, and you talked about everything we are and beyond, right? And basically the connectivity of all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. There was a quote that I pulled from this. I think so too. There's a quote that I pulled from this video, and I just quoted. They quoted something that you've all heard before for sure. From Einstein, I guess it says, "We can't solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created it." And what you mentioned there with these people surrounding criminals with positivity until they're better, that's kind of going outside of our kind of crime creating society, which is interesting. Yeah, he is a damn cool dad. Me and him, we could sit and have these conversations to infinity and beyond, and yeah, I love it. So let's see.
Many people will formulate the answer that they want in their mind rather than allowing the answer to come to them.
That's so difficult in these times. We are so self-gratified by the short-term effects of everything now, and what he's pointing out is for us to stop being such self gratifiers. We're going to have to listen. And not even, hey, listen, but actually really need to want to listen.
Yeah. And I think, it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways, is, you can be a great example of, someone on the path of learning and being able to receive. And you might have some wonderful tools to share, but you can't make anybody want to listen. That's something
No.
we have to make that choice for ourselves. Yeah, and again, because of the interconnectivity, I think it's very important that I make that choice for myself because of the interconnectivity.
But I find myself sometimes swimming against the current because, like most people on the planet, I've got used to these little 15-second videos, these little 30-second videos, these little 1 minute videos. My neural pathway has been mindset to a certain way where it's very difficult to listen past a certain point because, just like the gentleman pointed out, you're not really giving a chance for anybody to properly express themselves because you're already formulating your own thought in your head. So
Yes, yep.
while listening,
As I'm doing in real time.
and
Really.
look, exactly, and look, while listening, you're actually needing to tell yourself, hey, listen to these words here because you know what, and it's a great thing to practice, like many things, obviously gratefulness and stuff like that, being just the gratitude of everything. But when you start to practice listening and you start to fall in love with communication. Again, I'm sure there was a point where we actually were truly in love. We're used to love listening to people. The individual words themselves, when you just tune into someone speaking, that individual word, it's almost like every single word is your partner or your lover or your child or even part of you. It makes the
Yeah. So,
spoken word.
um, I this was about a 2 hour video, and I watched the whole video, and still, it's a fragment of time. It's a 20-second video is a fragment of time. A 2 hour video is a fragment of time. A 8 hour video is a fragment of time. Um, but they all do one thing quite well. They pull you outside of yourself, and which is okay if it's. I mean, it's okay one way or another. For me, I want to be pulled outside of myself so that I can journey back inwards with a unique point of view, or some maybe even a confirmation or affirmation, um, or some direction, right? But not just for a distraction within itself. Because then when if I find myself being consumed by distractions, what happens? There's there. I notice that there is what goes with more distraction comes more negativity, and because I become less healthy mentally, physically, often too, because I could distract myself out of doing things for myself, maybe some exercising or some stretching or going outside, or going on a bike ride or whatever it might be. Um, Where I got there from, I don't know, but
you see that distraction that you talk about, and I know exactly what you mean. That distraction, when we turn that distraction into a notification, okay? Because yeah, without a doubt, we can almost find ourselves like, "Whoa, I've been a bit distracted here. In fact, I actually wanted to do something else. In fact, wow, I've actually got things to do." Or in that place of, "Wow, can't believe I found in this place of distraction again." If every time that we recognize something as being a distraction, it's actually just a notification for our discernment to understand, you know what, this actually isn't a distraction. This is actually something that I really need to be here or need to hear about, or to really recognize the relative fact of, whoa, another distraction. At least you're still aware.
yeah, and I think you like a person has to put their own judgment on it, or if they feel like it, and choose when it becomes unhealthy, right? Like it could be something as simple as uh, drinking alcohol or even smoking marijuana. Like each person needs to establish what they need to get from it and pursue it however they feel is correct. I couldn't say for me that my way is good for the next person, but it just, I guess, to me, it's a personal sensitivity, and yeah, and everything cuts both ways, right? Like, oh, I was distracted, but maybe that saved me a lot of
It,
trouble, and
it does cut. It does cut both ways, but the importance of what he was talking about earlier on about certain chemicals being released through the peptides is that when we maybe can recognize that, you know what, what is wrong with me? Why do I feel I'm constantly being distracted? There's a mind manipulation, every energy that's esoteric out to us, that connects to us, that connects to us through our feelings, then eventual emotions, that we can change these dramas into lessons. We can change these notifications, not from the distraction that we maybe thought they were, but just these little bullet points that we're still aware of certain things. Because I think without us being aware of distractions, where would we then be in a mindset? I would rather be aware that there are distractions rather than not be aware that there's any, because
oh yeah,
these
100,
distractions are there
100%.
by purpose. They're by design.
Yep, I agree 100%. Yeah, and now that's the kind of what you reiterated, um, where there is this chemical release, and therefore a chemical dependency does occur. And oh, we got some songs, and so that's uh, that's something else to consider. But yeah, if
We
you
can
don't
create we
know,
can
if you
create
don't know
better
it exists,
chemicals.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna let's roll the next one.
do it, man.
And become the best version of ourselves. By virtue of doing that, we create the best possible world.
Short and sweet. By becoming the best version of ourselves, we create the best possible world. I I believe that is the case. Even if that world is
Because
just
and
our own personal world.
But I think that's enough, because if that's what I could eventually accomplish, then everything within my universe will be affected by that.
Yep,
This
exactly.
highly positive energy of solutions and understanding and empathy and love, and just there and ready and core of strength. And everybody feels that and sees that.
And as you and JMAF established, we are completely and utterly connected.
I think so.
completely and fully.
If we choose to be.
Oh, dang, man, I really fudge these things up. 'Cause that's what's happened when you don't edit your work.
Past.
When you don't.
If we choose to be.
Okay, basically, he's saying we're kind of like only tied down by the past if we choose to be. We are only that story if we accept that as our story. But yeah, that was a terrible job, Kai. I thought I was getting it done so fast, nailing it. Hey, but you live and you learn. You live and you learn.
Yep, we sure
In
do.
kind of the Don Juanian, his books, one of the instructions that he gives to Carlos Castaneda is to kind of stop explaining his history to everybody, his past so that he can free himself from this description, right? I go, okay, this is what happened to me as a kid. This is what happened when I was 12. This is what happened and that, and that. And so by constantly spelling that with words, right? We are continually merging with that as our, I want to say false reality, but, with basically the matrix layer of our reality, right?
But a resurgence of energies that consistently were maybe even traumatic or, yeah.
Okay.
Experiences. We have to have the wisdom to recognize we have a choice, the strength to make the choice, but we can't stop there. We've got to be able to follow it through. And every time one of us does that in our lives, we're creating a bridge in the field for another person somewhere on the planet. You may never know who they are, but energetically, we make it a little easier for them to have that wisdom and the courage to choose and the strength to see it through. And in that way, I think we uplift one another in ways that we'll never know.
Yep. Anthropomorphic resonance is another way of putting that. I think it's a good argument for being the best you. If you need an argument for being the best you.
I think it is all. Yeah, I think it is also just to obviously trying to every single day to try and be the best possible you that you can.
And I will tell everybody that for me that means failure. And I don't mean failure again. You've probably heard me say this time after time. I don't mean failure in a way where, oh my goodness, I'm a loser, I'm a failure. But failure in my own eyes. Going, well, Kai, you want to be this open-minded, loving person, and you were, once again, mentally violent. Okay, that's a failure. But to me, it doesn't mean give up. It's like understanding the distraction. Once
you see, sometimes individuals see things so differently. It's really strange. It's like when you're seeing that as a failure, I see that as a necessity to stretch a certain part of you to make you even stronger. But the adversity makes you stronger. It's the pain that gets you strong. It's living through maybe a mental hell that eventually gets you to a place of true strength. So
well,
failure.
You got to work with where you're at. And
I
if
know,
you,
I know you do. I know you need to work with where you're at, but what you also need to do is try to be the most kindest version of yourself to yourself. Why be really hard on yourself while all this stuff is really hard to work out as an individual?
um,
Yeah,
well,
I know what
well,
words you're
what
thinking.
the message that I'm conveying is really simple. It's if you are trying to be a good person in your own eyes and you notice yourself not living up to your own expectations, don't give up. You're in a good place. You're in a good place that you could see that. You're in a good place that you have this will and the want to be better. And I 1000% commend you on having even just the will without the execution. I
Yeah, but
appreciate
I
that.
think on speaking to some apple trees the other day, I think I recognised you. And there was the three trees. There was one that was just planted. There was one that was there for 2 years, and there was one that was actually just to start to show some apples. The seedling tree was so happy just to be alive. It couldn't believe it was a tree. It was like, wow, I'm a tree in the garden. It was just a happy tree. The middle tree, I think, was you a little bit. You know, it actually said to me, you know what, I actually feel like a bit of a failure. This is what you're talking about. And it pointed to the side and it was showing me this beautiful apple tree. Apples really all beautifully, just ready to be picked. And it was like, I said, what, you're trying to force your apples? I had to actually explain to the tree. I said, you are on the most perfect place at the right time, at the right place in your timeline to eventually be producing fruit. And the sort of apple tree says, so me being so hard on myself, does that not make me a failure? I says, I think it just makes you a tree.
Yeah. And so to again clarify, having setbacks or again, it's just words, but saying, "Oh, I
Yeah.
failed on my goal," or however you want to describe it, it doesn't mean that anyone's a failure.
Yeah, I understand that.
If you fail a test, you fail a test. It doesn't mean you're a failure, but yes, you did fail the test, and we do fail tests. We will fail tests, and we will be tested, and the test will get more difficult the farther you move, because it's going to be more difficult in your own eyes, and to me that is good. That is a good thing, because that is I think we're supposed to mature. I think we're supposed to mature, and we could choose not to mature, and maybe that will be maturing just as much. Maybe I'd mature more if I chose not to mature. So yeah, you got a good point there. But yeah, again, I say this all the time, but it's not. It's me seeing my weakness, and I'm okay knowing that I have weaknesses. It's my weakness could be my strength. Whatever. But it's I'm gonna smash through these last two because I got to get to what.
We have to have the wisdom to
Yeah, man.
Oh, is that
recognize
the
we have
same
a
one?
choice, the strength to make the choice, but we can't stop there. That we've got to be able to follow it through. And every time one of us does that in our lives, we're creating a bridge in the field for another person somewhere on the planet. You may never know who they are.
Well, I like this
But
one. Yes.
energetically, we make it a little easier for them to have that wisdom and the courage to choose and the strength to see it through. And in that way, I think we uplift one another in ways that we'll never know.
I don't know if that was the same one, but it had the
Yeah,
same.
that was the same. That was the same one.
Okay. Well, this one is the last I have lined up. Let's see what the last one has to.
While for those forces to veil our power from us, to attempt to veil our power by stealing our very humanness. There is a battle for our humanness because there's a conduit to our divinity. But we don't have to fight that battle. We just live the truth of what it means to be human, the best version of ourselves, and we have triumphed.
I'm going to play that one again for JMAF, drive into his appointment, because I have a feeling he could definitely appreciate that.
Is making it worthwhile for those forces to veil our power from us, to attempt to veil our power by stealing our very humanness. There is a battle for our humanness because there's a conduit to our divinity. But we don't have to fight that battle. We just live the truth of what it means to be human, the best version of ourselves, and we have triumphed.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
I really appreciate that one. Yep, and I love to. I love to know that we are the winners. We win. We do triumph. We do triumph. We are the winners. We will choose to maintain our humanity. Yep, it's just that simple. Plant the seeds, simple. Love wins. And I think love overcomes the coldest heart. There's a time and there's a place, like you said, for the apples, for the tree to bear its fruit. And the fruit of love will win. It will win. And, some will bear the fruit sooner than others. And that's just kind of the way things work when there is a timeline, attached to it. And that's how we do perceive with a timeline and space and stuff like that at the moment. So that's how it seems to be. It may not actually be like that, but that's how it seems to be.
It does seem to be. And I think to hopefully sustain any outcome of a harvest of love, then this is what we need to experience.
Yeah. There was a friend here commenting earlier, and she said, "Be careful! Don't ask the universe for help." Kind of making a joke and stuff, but also I think being a little serious. And I go, well, when I do ask for help, my request clearly says gentle, gentle aid.
Well, I don't usually ask the universe for help, but sometimes I will say the universe provides, and the universe provides the rainbow, the volcano, the beautiful forest, life, death. So without a doubt, the universe will definitely provide for us.
Yeah. The universe provides literally every morsel, whether we label it as good or bad or unworthy of, mention. It's the source is shared. So thank you for coming in. Thanks everybody who joined today and chatted and and if you didn't come and you didn't even see the show, I still thank you. So I really appreciated having everybody chat, getting some fantastic feedback on all this stuff. And now it's time to make some soup. All this conversation, right? We should take it somewhere and make a better soup than I did last time.
Yeah, man.
That's the goal. Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Peace.
Peace in, peace out.
Yeah, man. Peace.